He'll harness the hard-working power of the peanut.
Weather invention.
Wow, anybody else surprised it actually worked?
Mother Nature can absolutely change people.
I'm ready to get out of here and create a new track.
This is a tornado emergency.
It was hard to believe weather could do that.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
Currently in our area, 57 degrees under clear skies. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Low 49. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky. High 71. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tuesday night, some clouds early will give way to generally clear conditions overnight. Low 50. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Did someone say burn? Try Alka-Seltzer Relief Chews. They work just as fast and are proven to taste better than Tums Smoothies assorted fruit.
Amazing.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief Chews. Enjoy the relief.
Nailed it.
You're right, that was really easy. I know, I told you so. On Progressive.com, you can compare our Progressive Direct rates with our competitors' rates, so shopping is easy. You don't sound like Flo.
Yeah, I do.
Who are you talking to?
What?
What's on your hand?
My wedding ring. Symbol of our love and understanding.
Comparing rates for you. Now that's Progressive.
Nailed it.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium, the world's longest-lasting AA battery in high-tech devices. Up to 6 times longer than the other leading brand.
Captain's log, day of departure. After a short time at sea, our crew seems to be settling in. Earlier, a small mutiny broke out, but I put it to rest. The sailing got a little rough, but nothing we couldn't handle. And after a small distraction on the upper deck, the Admiral spirited me away for some quality time. All in all, another fine day at sea.
Disney Cruise Line. When it comes to pleasing everyone, the difference is Disney.
When a small business needs to secure financing to do things like buy new equipment, purchase inventory, or hire more employees, they turn to OnDeck, the small business loan experts. OnDeck has provided over $1 billion in true business loans to more than 700 industries. Unlike traditional lenders, OnDeck says yes faster and more often. Maybe that's why 93% of our customers said they would recommend us, and why OnDeck has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, OnDeck is now publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Why is OnDeck a better choice for small businesses? We evaluate the health of your business, not just your personal credit score. With OnDeck, you can receive a decision in minutes, not months. And best of all, funding in as fast as 1 business day. At OnDeck, we actually want to lend to small business. How can we help your small business? Go to OnDeck.com and find out. There's no obligation, and you can receive a decision in minutes. Visit us online at OnDeck.com today.
Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
This is a serious situation. If you violate this state order, it's a possible misdemeanor. It's fines up to $300.
That is Governor Andrew Cuomo warning everybody about, just getting off the roads because it's a dangerous storm that we're dealing with right now. And as a matter of fact, it is going to get way worse during the overnight hours and throughout the day tomorrow. Notice the darker blue, those bands of blue. Those are heavier snow bands working their way across Long Island right now from east to west. New York City, Manhattan, we're about to see that snow really pick up in intensity, and it's going to really keep on going all night long. Here is our forecast. As we go through later on tonight, you'll notice the darker blue. It's going to kind of remain here from Westchester County through Yonkers, the Bronx, down towards Staten Island. New Jersey gets a little bit of a break Tuesday, and even eventually the eastern end of Long Island, that snow will begin to taper off. But we are concerned not just about the heavy snow, but the very strong winds. In fact, hurricane force winds, a hurricane wind warning issued for the waters east of Long Island. There's a look at your snowfall totals through Wednesday, kind of scaling back a little bit in some of these areas. But this is, again, what we're calling for in addition to what you've already picked up. So that means around New York City, 4.5 inches of snow on the ground right now, plus another 3 to 7 inches of snow. Jen Carfagno joining me live now from New York City with more on those snow bands. Jen, are you excited about that heavy snow filling in?
Oh, I am. I feel like I've been waiting for it all day. But actually earlier today when we had the snow coming down and we picked up most of that 4 inches, it was a really nice snow because the wind took a break for a minute. And actually it was comfortable. People were outside. They were walking around Central Park. Now things are clearing out around here people-wise, and for good reason. There's a ban. A travel goes into effect at 11 o'clock tonight, so we're 5 minutes from that. And you look behind me, this is Columbus Circle. You would normally see cars even at this time of night. You would see cars, you would see taxis, see buses. You're not seeing any of that right now. You're seeing the occasional NYPD car, and that's about it. Now let me go out here into the circle and I'll show you that it's slippery. I mean, they've been coming through with plows, once an hour at least, if not more than that. And there's usually 4 of them. The ones in the front are plowing, the ones in the back are throwing salt or something else. But you can see it's slippery out here. So the 4.5 inches that we got earlier today was a very light, fluffy snow. And you probably can see in the lights this snow blowing at me. I don't think it's necessarily snow that's falling. It's actually snow that's getting picked up and blown that fell earlier today. It was a very light snow, and that's the kind of snow that we're going to get overnight tonight, a light snow. And when those winds pick up, gusting over 30 or 40 miles per hour, that snow will just get picked up and be blown around, reducing visibility, and that's really a big concern. So here in New York City, things are literally shutting down for the night. No subway, of course, travel on the roads with the ban, and people are asked to stay inside as well as we get the worst of the weather coming through overnight. Kelly and Kim, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Jen, I'll take it from here, and we want to talk about what's going on with the storm right now. We're getting new data in, new model data, and it's been really interesting to follow what's been happening with the models in this particular case. The European model, which, as you probably know, is a very, very good model, has been clinging to this idea of there being a terrific amount of snow there right down into southeastern New York. This is the European model run from earlier today, and generally speaking, this is the best model, and so it's not easy to discount this model. But now it's sort of out on its own, which is not a good position to be in. When most of the modeling is doing something different, then that certainly does present a problem. Now, here is the GFS model. This is the American model, and it's showing a solution that is farther to the east, so the heavier snow farther to the east, leaving less snow on that western edge. The UK Met, which is a very good model, is with the GFS model on this. The Canadian model is with this, and even now the NAM model, which is generally not a great model, and was saying that there would be more snow farther west. Now the NAM model is with the GFS model. So a lot of these models have come around to the idea of it being farther along to the east. In the high resolution model, the RPM model, also indicating that. So that's kind of where we are right now. Basically, we've got a lot of confidence in the fact that there is going to be a terrific snowstorm in New England. It's happening now. It's going to continue through the night, through tomorrow morning, through the middle of the day, even into the afternoon. And we're thinking that this is probably a pretty good forecast for the western edge there, going from 8 to 12 to 5 to 8, and that does extend right down into the tri-state area as well. How about how much snow we've seen in Boston as far as the record is concerned? 27.6 is the all-time record. That was 2003. And what we're expecting this time is probably on the order of about 20 inches in the Boston metro. Right now on the radar picture, we're seeing a pretty healthy band coming across western Long Island. But you notice here the same issue that we just discussed. All the snow is well off to the east there. While it's pretty quiet off to the west, it may continue to be that way for some time to come. But we do expect that this band, which has been producing moderate snow on Long Island, is going to bring us a good burst of snow there across most of the tri-state area. And then as we expand the picture, boy, the storm really starting to crank now in southeastern New England. A lot of heavier snow showing up on the radar picture, driving in. It's going to be this way for hours and hours and hours. Winds already getting up to 60 miles per hour, and they'll only get stronger by tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, as the sun's coming up, this thing is going to be cranking. Tremendous wind driving right into the coast there. Very heavy snowfall across New England. Roads will be impassable. Snow may drift to 3 to 5 feet across a lot of the region. And it really is going to be life-threatening weather, even for people that are used to dealing with this kind of a storm. And this goes on through the middle of the day tomorrow and then right into the afternoon. And we'll talk much more about all of this coming up in just a moment.
And happening right now, Winter Storm Juno, a historic blizzard, is in progress. We're looking at snow that is quickly accumulating with parts of 7 states still under blizzard warnings. This storm is cranking and it's affecting major cities right now.
Whether you're out on the roads, actually you shouldn't be right now, or maybe just walking from point A to point B, or just at your house riding out the storm, we have information you need to know to stay safe and informed. How's this, Boston? You're in line to potentially see 16 hours of blizzard conditions tomorrow. It's something officials in the Northeast are taking very seriously.
If you are in your car and you are on any road, town, village, city, doesn't matter, after 11 o'clock, you will technically be committing a crime.
New Yorkers should not underestimate this storm. Assume conditions will be unsafe.
The last time I saw it like this was during Sandy, when people were getting ready for Sandy.
Time is up for New Yorkers racing to get ready for Juno. At this hour now, a travel ban has just taken effect. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Weather Channel. I'm Kelly Cass.
And I'm Kim Cunningham. Good evening, everyone. Winter Storm Juno is a storm that will bring intense conditions for the next 48 hours. So that's a long time. The biggest concerns still blinding, fast accumulating snow, strong winds that will likely bring widespread power outages and coastal flooding.
And parts of 7 states in the Northeast are still under blizzard warnings. We're looking at a lot of snow accumulating in this area, along with strong, gusty winds. Take a look at what we've got going on here as far as snowfall totals. Up to 2 feet of snow in the eastern parts of New England, including Boston out towards the Cape. And you can see back toward the Hudson River Valley, a trickier forecast, but certainly some areas could see up to a foot of snow.
And we have live team coverage from the major cities in line for Juno's worst. We'll start with Keith.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, you know, we're talking about whether or not New York City is going to end up with a lot of snow. That is not a question here in Boston. We're going to get probably 2 feet, maybe more of snow. We're starting to get a little bit more into the teeth of this storm. It's been kind of stalling around, you know, since 11 o'clock in the morning and been spitting lighter snow. Now we're getting into that darker blue band, which is the heavier snowfall rates, which I anticipate will continue during the overnight hours. We got that to talk about. We have the wind speeds to talk about, over 60 miles an hour already, and Nantucket, which is to the south of Boston and Island there, relatively exposed, and have storm surge also to talk about the duration of this whole storm. So we're going to nail down the timing of this, the details of what's going on here in Boston coming up in just a few minutes. For now, let's go down about an hour on a normal day south here into Providence and Rhode Island. That's where we find Chris Warren.
And Keith, that's the operative on a normal day. This is anything but a normal day. In fact, this could be what is the beginning of a historic blizzard throughout the Northeast, including right here in Providence, Rhode Island, where that snow has been coming down. This snow has been coming down for hours now, heavy with the wind. We are dealing now with wind drifts, and we're still seeing a lot of plows cruising around, making the laps around our location right here where we are, right at the on-ramp at Interstate 95. But now they're just scraping off that top layer. That snow is now packed to the ground, and you have less than an hour now to get off the roads. Travel ban goes into effect at midnight. Let's check in now at the Big Apple. That's where we find meteorologist Jen Carfagno. Good evening to you, Jen.
Hey, Chris, good evening to you. Well, we are in it. The travel ban, it begun at 11 o'clock. No vehicles. The subway trains are going to stop. I tell you what here, no easy way to get in and out of the city right now, which is good news because the weather is going to go downhill. Now, I will say the snow forecast amounts have come down for New York City. It's not the 12 to 18. We had 4 and a half already today in New York City. Probably going to get another 4 to maybe to 6 inches of additional snow overnight tonight is the thinking right now. Again, it's all about this, this storm which is off the coast and the western edge setting up and where exactly that sets up if it dumps right here over Central Park and where I am at Columbus Circle on a what could be a busy night but has pretty much cleared out right here, at least the cars in New York City. Kim?
That makes it so tricky, the forecast here around New York City, and we've been watching this and where that western edge is going to set up. And one of the things we look at, of course, the computer models, and they're our friend, we love them, but sometimes they don't agree. And we've been watching the RPM and definitely not agreeing with the snow totals. That's one of the models we've been looking at where it's been saying over and over again, we're not going to see as much as we thought in New York. However, the RPM's probably been a little underdone with it, but you can see it stayed on that western edge. There is a band that is approaching New York at this time, but overall thinking it's not going to be as bad as what we were thinking earlier. The European model still showing us 12 to 18 inches. We'll get a new run here in the next couple of hours, but look at 12 to 18. So you could see the discrepancies between the two, and looks like the RPM still looking and holding on at least 3 to 5, and maybe not be that too far off. Carl.
Yeah, Kim, it's really interesting because we've talked about the fact that the European model is such a good model. It's generally the best model, and we use it all the time. And it's the one model that sort of insists that it's going to be a higher total there for the tri-state area. All the other models now are in this camp of saying that we're not going to see as much. So you really do have to weigh in the preponderance of evidence, even when you're going up against the very best model. So right now, what we're thinking is that it's less likely that we're going to be in for a spectacular storm there in New York City. Certainly, it's not going to be easy. I mean, we could be talking about a foot of snow all told. We've got one report of 8 inches of snow, and then you're going to get a lot more coming down here over the next several hours, probably another 5 to 8 or maybe even 8 to 12 in some parts of the metro. There's going to be a lot of wind. It's not going to be easy to get around, so it's not like it's not going to be anything, we don't think, but we're just not talking about the high-end storm, the really high-end storm that they're likely to get in Boston and southeastern parts of New England. So here's a look at some of the totals. What's interesting is that we've got this 8.5 here in South Ozone Park. Not very far away from there, we got a report of 3 inches of snow. So totals have been kind of all over the place, but the vast majority of the totals have been on the order of 3 to 4 inches thus far. Now, let's take a look at where we go from here and talk about what we're expecting in terms of additional snowfall. And this is important. When you look at this map, this is showing you not the total amount of snow, but additional snowfall. And you notice here in the western edge, we've got 8 to 12 and 5 to 8 there. And so that's going to be on top of these several inches that we've seen already. But this part of the forecast is locked in. This is going to happen. We're going to get huge snow there in New England. We're going to get terrific wind on top of that. All the way around, it's going to be very difficult, and it's only going to get worse through tonight and early tomorrow. On the radar picture right now, we're watching a pretty impressive band making its way across western Long Island. A lot of reports of moderate snow along with that. As we expand the picture, snow's really been filling in southern New England, and boy, the winds are getting way up there. 62 miles per hour, the most recent gust in Nantucket, 46 in Plymouth. And you know, folks, it's going to be like this for many hours. It's going to go right through tonight, right through tomorrow morning, right through the middle of the day, even into tomorrow evening. Finally, by very late tomorrow and then overnight tomorrow, that's when the wind is going to begin to let up a little bit. Here's our forecast. There's the heavy snow in dark blue coming in and across southeastern New England tomorrow morning. Terrific wind at this time, blizzard conditions. More of the same through the middle of the day, and again, finally, slowly beginning to end by late tomorrow, and then even into early Wednesday morning, we see some lingering snow with this slow-moving and very powerful area of low pressure. We're going to have much more on this storm and the latest forecast for Boston coming up.
Hi, you've reached Emma. I'm out of the office right now, but we'll get back to you just as soon as I possibly can.
Join us for exclusive Discovery at Sea experiences. Princess Cruises, come back new.
Heartburn.
Did someone say burn? Try Alka-Seltzer Relief Chews. They work just as fast and are proven to taste better than Tums Smoothies assorted fruit.
Amazing.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Alka-Seltzer Heartburn Relief Chews. Enjoy the relief.
Sir, we're gonna need you on the runway later.
Don't let a severe cold hold you back. Get Theraflu. It has the power of 3 medicines to take on your worst pain and fever, cough, and nasal congestion. Theraflu breaks you free from your toughest cold and flu symptoms, so you never miss a day. Theraflu. Serious power.
Thrilled to have Jim Cantore on the show. He's been through like 80 tropical systems.
So we've got like 60 years of experience here. And that's just Sam.
Watch Jim Cantore, Sam Champion, and Jennifer Delgado on AMHQ, weekday mornings at 7. Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
Olive Garden's new 8 under 8 lunch combinations featuring 2 new house-made flatbreads, like our Pizziola flatbread, layered with Italian meats and cheeses, and our fresh and flavorful Mediterranean flatbread, plus super salad and breadsticks. 8 under 8 lunch combinations at Olive Garden.
Let's go from our little girl to all grown up. Let's say out with the old and in with the options, like that one, or those, with features like this. Let's get exactly what we imagined for less than we thought, and turn a modest budget into a majorly stylish bath. New bathroom? No problem. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Shop stylish vanities in-store and online.
Cheez-It Grooves are the best of both worlds, like a Cheez-It and a chip.
Oh, you just put them together?
Yes.
Closer. Closer. They're kissing.
We take time for our cheese to mature in our crispy Cheez-It Grooves.
Hey everybody, check this out. New video just into us from Long Island. These are blizzard conditions that we've been seeing at times. And of course, officials have been talking about everybody getting off the roads by about now because, yeah, things are getting pretty bad out there in a hurry. Take a look at this video from Situate, Massachusetts, where we've had a lot of emergency vehicles out there, obviously, and now, of course, they're telling everybody who's non-emergency to stay off the road so that they can get out there, do their jobs, and if anybody loses their power, they can get out there and restore power as well. So again, the winds are going to continue to be a problem for us throughout New England, throughout the Northeast, and the snow will continue to pile up as well. So right now, you should be in your home, in your safe place, and certainly not trying to go anywhere at this time. Kim?
All right, let's go to a spot right now that will certainly see blizzard conditions and a whole lot of them. Boston. For the latest on the situation there, let's check in right now with Keith Carson. And Keith, I'm starting to see some darker blues on the radar heading for you.
Yeah, you're right about that, Kim. We're starting to get into some of that heavier snow. And look, no big snowstorm ever comes in without at least a couple of hours of strong thumping snow. You can only sit in this, what we call S-, or at this point S, for so long and expect to have a historic storm. That is going to happen, and we're going to get into some of the stronger stuff as we head into later on in the night, into the early morning hours. So now we're getting into the heavier stuff. Boston Common here, we picked out about an inch and a half of snow so far, but as we get into this stronger band rotating in, we're going to see that increase. Look, we came prepared here. with a yardstick, because we're thinking about the kind of snow that we're going to have here total, and we're thinking that we're going to be measuring this more aptly with a yardstick than we are with a ruler. So that's something to think about, because Boston, although obviously a city that gets a lot of snow, their record for all-time snow from one storm, I believe, it's 27.5 inches. So if we get over 2 feet, we're going to be in that top 5 pretty quickly, and I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening. Carl talking about the computer models disagreeing, and they are for New York City. They are all locked in here, though, in Boston. It's saying that we're going to get a thumping of snow with all these different bands coming on in. Look, the city is pretty much cleared out. What we have left at this point are drunk college students, and that's about it. People walking their dog. There's really not many people still left around. Everybody has taken the governor's and then the mayor's advice to be off the roads and to just hunker down for the rest of this storm. In fact, it is going to be a crime to be on the road in a short period of time here, from midnight into an indefinite amount of time. We're going to be looking at a travel ban, which means you're not allowed to be on the road unless you are an emergency official. All right, ladies, you know, I don't know if you've ever heard this. One of the worst nerd insults you could have is if somebody accused you of being a slant sticker for measuring snow. Have you ever heard that before?
No. Never.
Okay, so let me tell you what it is real quick. So slant sticker is somebody who always comes in with the highest snowfall total in their area, and the nerds are like, oh, it's because you're slant sticking. So you put the ruler in sideways, and it ends up a higher number. These are things that weather weenies argue about during snowstorms.
It's interesting that you know about it, though, right? Keith, you're not.
I know. Well, you know.
Something else we geek out over is the thunder snow, Keith, and we're starting to see reports of thunder snow out there.
I saw that. One is down into New Bedford, which is, it's actually a little bit closer to Chris Warren's location in Providence, but that band is rotating up towards Boston. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all if we do get a little thunder snow in here in the next couple of hours as these bands intensify around that low to the south. And that is, you talk about weather nerds, that is like the ultimate to get thunder snow, for sure.
Definitely agree, Keith. And hopefully you'll experience that here tonight. And, of course, we're going to check back with you here in a little bit.
Yeah, of course, you know, Cantori's had it a few times live on the air. I know Keith would love to have that happen during one of his live shots. But we're going to continue to check back with all of our reporters who are spanned out all across the Northeast. Of course, this storm is really serious, so we want to keep you safe from it. We can see the heavy snow that's going to be accumulating in Boston throughout the night tonight, and the winds are going to be very strong as well, causing some blowing and drifting of snow. So Keith was trying to measure it. It's going to get even harder to measure it, right, Kim?
That's right. And Kelly, you know, it's not even until Wednesday morning that this nightmare ends for folks. When it's all said and done, maybe 23 inches. This is through Wednesday. Additional, by the way, 20 inches in Lawrence, Boston, additional 20 inches, 16 hours maybe of blizzard conditions. Wow.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that playing cards with Kenny Rogers gets old pretty fast?
You got to know when to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. What? You get it,
I get the gist, yeah.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's time to rethink wet food for your pet. At PetSmart, you'll find new innovations, quality ingredients, and exciting flavors. Mealtime will never be the same. Right now at PetSmart, stock up and save on over 750 varieties of wet food.
We used to have so many empty rolls. It felt like we were flushing money away. Mom! That's why we switched to Charmin Ultra Mega Roll. It's Charmin quality and long-lasting. With more goes per roll, it pays to use Charmin Ultra Mega Roll.
Charmin Ultra Mega Roll is 75% more absorbent, so you can use less with every go. Plus, it even lasts longer than the leading 1000 sheet brand.
For us, Mega Roll equals mega value. Cha-ching! We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin Ultra Mega Roll?
A diaper pail next to a sunny window in a home with triplets with 3 cases of an upset tummy. Pine Sol, cleaning what stinks since 1929.
You do a lot to keep your family safe at home. So make sure they're safer on the road. See farther, wider, better. Upgrade to Silver Star Ultra headlights from Sylvania.
build weather inventions.
Wow, anybody else surprised it actually worked? Mother Nature can absolutely change people. I'm ready to get out of here and create a new track. This is a tornado emergency.
It was hard to believe weather could do that.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
When a small business needs to secure financing to do things like buy new equipment, purchase inventory, or hire more employees, they turn to OnDeck, the small business loan experts. OnDeck has provided over $1 billion in true business loans to more than 700 industries. Unlike traditional lenders, OnDeck says yes faster and more often. Maybe that's why 93% of our customers said they would recommend us, and why OnDeck has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, OnDeck is now publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Why is OnDeck a better choice for small businesses? We evaluate the health of your business, not just your personal credit score. With OnDeck, you can receive a decision in minutes, not months. And best of all, funding in as fast as 1 business day. At OnDeck, we actually want to lend to small business. How can we help your small business? Go to OnDeck.com and find out. There's no obligation, and you can receive a decision in minutes. Visit us online at OnDeck.com today.
Stay tuned for your Local on the 8s, brought to you by Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
If you have Medicare Part D, Walgreens gets that you might be at the corner of looking for a good deal, and sheesh, I wish I'd looked some more. That's why Walgreens makes it easy to switch your prescriptions and save money. Just stop by and leave all the legwork to us. Switch your prescriptions to Walgreens, where you could save even more on Medicare Part D with copays as low as $0. At the corner of happy and healthy.
Currently in our area, 57 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, generally clear. Low 49. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky. High 71. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tuesday night, some clouds early will give way to generally clear conditions overnight. Low 50. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our coverage of Winter Storm Juno. There's a live look, a few vantage points for you of New York City on the top left, the top of the rock view. And our visibility has been going down. In fact, we've got a heavy snow band that's about to work its way through lower Manhattan. On the right, there's Times Square, not as busy. Even though it is getting late into the evening, a lot of folks had to go home because the roads are all closing. There is a ban on travel, unnecessary travel. And there's a look on the bottom of your screen at Columbus Circle. We're going to talk to Jen Carfagno coming up in a little while. By the way, officially at Central Park, between 4.5 inches to 5 inches, one of the higher amounts we've seen so far. South Ozone Park, that's in Queens, right near Kennedy Airport, 8.5 inches so far, and it's going to continue to pile up as we go through the overnight hours. And those winds, Kim, they are going to be howling.
And you know that's going to make a huge mess out of travel in and out of some of these places. So, of course, we're going to let you know of any airport problems that we're going to see over the next 48 hours. A lot of flights have been canceled, and that's, of course, having ripple effects across the country. Tom Costello reports from New York's LaGuardia Airport. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening. When was the last time you saw LaGuardia Airport look like this? It's essentially a ghost town. 80 to 90% of the flights canceled in New York, in Philadelphia, and Boston. That number is going to go to 100% into the evening. The airlines don't like their airplanes sitting on the ramp in a blizzard, so they're now moving all of their planes out. For airports, airlines, and their passengers, this Monday has been all about getting ahead of the storm. 6,500 flights into and out of the Northeast today and tomorrow canceled. On Flight Radar 24, air traffic over the Northeast thinned out dramatically as the day progressed. In Pittsburgh, Michelle Johnson was trying to get to Boston.
3 rescheduled, canceled flights is, difficult. I wonder when you're going to get home in 3 feet of snow.
The flights that did fly were mostly full. Our flight into LaGuardia just a few minutes delayed, but it's likely to be just one of the last into New York as the airlines proactively cancel flights into and out of the Northeast. Martha Kramer is stuck in Paris on business, not sure when she'll get back to New York.
They don't know where the planes will be when the snow ends, so they're not sure about rebooking people. It's a little frustrating because I have to be in New York on business Wednesday morning.
Tonight, the FlightAware Misery Map shows delays and cancellations mounting from Washington to Philly, New York to Boston, but spreading to other big hubs as well, Atlanta and Chicago. It may be Wednesday before the nation's airlines even attempt to put all their planes back in the air. The airlines are, for the most part, waiving the change fees. So if you are booked on one of these flights over the next couple of days, you can probably rebook without paying a penalty. But by the way, the airlines will not be covering your hotel bill because this is, after all, Mother Nature. It's not their fault. Also, Amtrak canceling all operations tomorrow in the Northeast Corridor from New York to Boston. It's going to be very difficult to get anywhere in the Northeast tomorrow. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much. Now let's check in with Jen Carfagno here in New York City. And Jen, I'm seeing this live shot right now, and I don't know, maybe I'm imagining this, but is the wind picked up there?
Kim, it has, but you know what? You're able to see the wind. First of all, I'm standing on Columbus Circle, which is kind of crazy, but traffic is supposedly not running, although there's a taxi about to come by here. But Kim, what you're looking at is the steam coming out of that vent, and so you can see now the wind that we've been feeling all evening here in New York City. It's been light snow or snow from earlier today that's getting picked up and blown around in this wind, so it's not the most comfortable of evenings, but people are still out. So I want to talk to these two gentlemen that are out taking some pictures. What's your name?
Dash Gray.
And what's your name?
Dane Isaac.
All right, so what are you guys out here doing?
We just documented the night. We were expecting like an Armageddon storm, so we was like, okay, if we're going to go out, we're going to go out with a bang. We're just going to document the whole thing by taking pictures.
So are you disappointed?
We're a little disappointed right now. We're expecting more snow.
Well, how late do you expect to stay out tonight?
All night.
I think you'll get more snow if you stay out a bit longer.
Yeah, you would.
So are you from New York City?
I'm from the Caribbean, but I live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So this is like my first major snowstorm, so it's pretty exciting if you ask me.
So what about you?
I'm from West New York, New Jersey, so I'm pretty used to this.
So what do you think about the fact that the subway is shut down, which I don't think it ever has before for the snow?
That is definitely crazy to me.
Are your friends and family talking about this?
Yeah, I mean, they are, but they don't really care. They're just happy they can stay home today.
Happy for a day off, yeah. Well, that's what the school kids are saying, because there is no school tomorrow for New York City kids either. All right, guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Jen, thanks so much. My nieces and nephews got a snow day in Poughkeepsie as well.
Yeah, millions of kids did.
Stay off the road.
The Lab is brought to you by State Farm. When nature strikes, State Farm is there to get you to a better state.
Andrew, Rita, Sandy. Meet Chris, Jackie, Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
Why are you all here? To learn, right? So you can get a good job, so you're not working for peanuts. Well, what if I told you that peanuts can work for you? While you guys are busy napping, peanuts are delivering 7 grams of protein and 6 essential nutrients right to your mouth. You ever seen a peanut take a day off? No. Peanuts don't even get casual khaki Fridays, because peanuts take their job seriously. So unless you want a life of skimming Wi-Fi off the neighbors, you'll harness the hard-working power of the peanut.
Not all toothbrushes are created equal. Oral-B toothbrushes are engineered with end-rounded bristles so brushing doesn't scratch gums, and angled perfectly to remove 90% of plaque for a healthier smile. Trust the brand more dentists and hygienists use, Oral-B.
Don't miss the Princess Cruises 50th anniversary sale, our biggest sale ever. Save up to $500 per person everywhere we sail all around the world. Call your travel consultant or 1-800-PRINCESS. Princess Cruises. Come back new.
She inspires you. No question about that. But your erectile dysfunction? That could be a question of blood flow. Cialis Tadalafil for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment's right. You can be more confident in your ability to be ready. And the same Cialis is the only daily ED tablet approved to treat ED and symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently or urgently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines, and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any allergic reactions like rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a free 30-tablet trial.
The best part about going to Walt Disney World just might be staying at a Walt Disney World Resort Hotel. From royal encounters to royal rooms. And pirates to paradise. The magic never has to stop. And now you can save up to 30% off a select Walt Disney World Resort hotel room. Book your stay now and discover how close the magic can be.
Thrilled to have Jim Cantore on the show. He's been through like 80 tropical systems.
So we've got like 60 years of experience here. And that's just Sam.
Watch Jim Cantore, Sam Champion, and Jennifer Delgado on AMHQ, weekday mornings at 7. Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
This is insane. New video coming into us from New Jersey. This is actually from Ocean County, just north of Atlantic City. And this is just the beginning of a very long, rough night, courtesy of Winter Storm Juno. It is going to be a blizzard for a lot of folks here in the Northeast. Our live team coverage continues all night here on the Weather Channel. I'm Kelly Cass, along with Kim Cunningham.
Good evening, everyone. We have meteorologists positioned throughout the entire Northeast to bring you live images of Winter Storm Juno as the snow moves in. Keith Carson is actually anchoring our coverage in Boston tonight. And Keith, are you ready for this? I think it's there. Moderate snow right now at the airport.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Wait, guys, can we go back to that full screen there of everyone's picture? Because nobody told me that I wasn't supposed to smile for that particular photo. And so I'm the only guy with this grin on his face. And I think they had to Photoshop a jacket on me. So I got to step up my tough guy face. You know, Kim's right that we are picking up the snow here. We're at a moderate. So we talk about snow in 3 levels. S-, that's light snow. S, just snow. And then S+ is the heavy snow. We're right in the middle right now. We're seeing some snow, but it's not S+ yet. But it's certainly accumulating more. We had crunchy snow already down here for the last storm. And on top of it, we're probably up to about 2 inches now on top of it. It's a different consistency of snow, and anyone who's lived in places that snows can feel the difference between week-old snow and snow that just accumulated here. You know, at this point here in Boston Common, we're oriented basically south. The winds are now coming in from the east or northeast. Now, you do have to take into account that we're kind of surrounded by high-rises. That does 2 things. One, it lessens the amount of wind that we're going to see in Boston Common compared to, say, if you go out towards the shore, Long Wharf area. And the other thing is it can change the pattern of wind a little bit. So they'll try to be out of the northeast, but the buildings may shift them around a little bit. Wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, definitely a possibility. The scene here in Boston Common has changed through the night. from people getting their errands done and walking their dogs, everything kind of being locked down at this point. We're seeing largely public works people who are plowing. You have some people sledding here as well, but the city has pretty much shut down, and that is how it's going to stay here for the next 24 hours. The computer models are locked and loaded on this storm. It's as much of a sure bet as you're going to get as far as snowfall totals. And an interesting side note, having lived in Boston most of my life, this is one of those storms where it's a nor'easter that doesn't really have to worry about the rain snow line in Boston. That's relatively rare. A lot of times these big storms suck in a lot of warm air. We're talking about, do we change over? Does that mess with our snow totals? And this time around, that will not be an issue. All right, Carl, safe to say I would rather be a local forecaster in Boston tonight than one in New York City having to deal with that whole situation.
There is no doubt about that. It's pretty much a slam dunk in the Boston area. We think it's going to be a terrific storm there across all of southeast New England. But you're right, in New York City, it's been very challenging. The modeling is now leaning more towards not being a spectacular storm there in New York City. And we'll get into that here in a moment. I want to show you a picture that was taken from Taunton, Massachusetts, or in Taunton, I should say. And this is a look at the drifting snow at someone's front door there. So already, because of this very strong wind, we're seeing really interesting snow drifts, and we're going to see much, much more of this. You know, think about the fact that we've only had probably several inches on the high end. Winds have been gusting up 40, 50 miles per hour. When you have a couple of feet of snow and maybe as much as 3 feet of snow, and then you've got that kind of wind going all night, all morning, and then all afternoon, you're going to see terrific drifts all across that region. And the other problem is that as that snow piles up on the power lines, on the tree branches, weighs them down, and then you've got wind on top of that, that means some of those are going to come down. So here's a look at where the widespread power outages are likely in eastern parts of New England, and then they'll be spotty farther to the west. That is a result of those blizzard conditions. And look at the wind here. These are the wind gusts. This is the forecast. 50 to 60 miles per hour in Boston, 60 to 75 Montauk and Nantucket. That's late tonight by 1 a.m. Not very late from now, actually. And then we go into the middle of the day tomorrow. We're still, even by late tomorrow afternoon, we're still gusting 60 to 75 miles per hour. So just a relentless pounding of wind with this very powerful and slow-moving storm that really doesn't start to give up until we get into early Wednesday. That's when we finally see those wind totals starting to come down. So an incredibly strong storm. It's going to go on for a long, long period of time. Here's a look at some of the snow totals that we have seen so far. Talking about 8 inches there at South Ozone Park. What's interesting is that is actually adjacent to JFK, where they've had 3 inches of snow officially. Central Park at 4.5. And this is our forecast for additional snowfall. So this is not the forecast for total snowfall. We're not talking about all the snow that has come down and will come down. We're talking about only what's going to happen going forward. And this part of the forecast we feel really good about. We feel sure that there's going to be a foot, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet, maybe even a lot more than that in some spots there in eastern New England. What we feel less confident about is the western edge of all of this. Could be a little more in some spots, could be a little less in some spots. It's been a tricky forecast all the way around, but at this point we're thinking anywhere from 5 to 8 to 8 to 12 across parts of the tri-state area. Now, with that wind continuing to drive into the coastline, Mike Lowry joining me now with the latest on the storm surge potential, and it's not going to be the highest that we've ever seen, but it's certainly not going to be insignificant.
Yeah, Carl, we're already seeing some minor flooding along the coastline of New Jersey. Take a look at these numbers. This is current flooding from the storm surge, which is that ocean water being pushed ashore by the strong winds around this developing coastal storm, this nor'easter. 1.3 feet. Now, that's above your toes if you're standing right along the coastline there in Atlantic City. But I tell you what, Carl, they're going to luck out a little bit here because those winds are more alongshore than they are onshore right now. And so that's keeping the storm surge down. But this is in line. Basically, this is a great forecast that we've made. Our forecast was calling for 1 to 3 feet of storm surge flooding We have another hour or so before we get to the high tide. So those storm surge, these numbers are going to come up at least a foot. So at the end of it, I think we're going to see 2 to 3 feet of storm surge flooding here along the mid-Atlantic for this high tide cycle.
And of course, you're going to have a very angry sea, and that's going to give those beaches a real workout. And coastal erosion is going to be an issue in some areas.
Yeah, the biggest impact here in the mid-Atlantic will be that coastal erosion. We're not going to get to the moderate flooding, I don't think. I think we're going to stay at the minor flooding. We have to get to 3 feet of that flooding to reach the moderate stage in terms of the impacts. Look at the tides here, Carl. This is the high tide here that we're expecting around 1 a.m. We're going to go to a low tide. We're going to have a second tide, though, that high tide that we're going to have to get through tomorrow afternoon. So those water levels will be slow to come down, though I don't think that flooding tomorrow afternoon will be as significant as it is now because those winds will begin to blow offshore. Let's step through the timing here really quickly. All of these locations along the mid-Atlantic, they're going to see their peak coming up in the next few hours. That includes you in Rehoboth Beach. That includes you, obviously, as we've been talking about there in Atlantic City. 2 to 3 feet, that's what we've been talking about all night. That looks like a really good forecast, and up through Sandy Hook as well. They're already reporting almost a foot of storm surge flooding there in Sandy Hook. The big story, though, in terms of the flooding is going to be up here into parts of coastal Massachusetts. I want to show you this forecast. We're expecting the impacts in terms of the flooding to be later on in the evening there, more in that 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. time frame. Plymouth, Scituate, Sandwich, up to Revere Beach, Winthrop, Plum Island, Carl, you know that's an area that's been hit with coastal flooding, storm after storm after storm. Unfortunately, with sea level rise, even with no change to the storms themselves, we're seeing the additional impacts there when these coastal nor'easters move offshore.
And of course, you got a lot of wave action there, and there's a tremendous weight to water. So anything that's in the way of those waves is going to be possibly damaged.
Yeah, and then look, if you're living there along the coast and you're watching us right now, just get to a higher location. If you're hunkered down there along the coast in an area that's prone to flooding, just not the time to go out and try to seek higher ground.
All right, Michael, thanks so much. Kelly, back to you.
All right, hopefully we don't see too much beach erosion either, too.
Yeah, I hope not, Kelly. All right, guys, we're with you all night long.
That's right. Stay with us. Coming up next, we're going to take you hour by hour across the state of Rhode Island. A live report from Providence, but there's a look at New York City. 4 different vantage points for you from the top of the Rock, Columbus Circle, Times Square, and also street view of all the snow.
Sir, we're going to need you on the runway later.
Don't let a severe cold hold you back. Get Theraflu. It has the power of 3 medicines to take on your worst pain and fever, cough, and nasal congestion. Theraflu breaks you free from your toughest cold and flu symptoms, so you never miss a day. Theraflu. Serious power.
Sunday dinners at my house.
You're waiting for my lasagna, aren't you?
It's a full day for me, and I love it. But when I started having back pain, my sister had to come help. I don't like asking for help. I took Tylenol, but I had to take 6 pills to get through the day. So my daughter brought over some Aleve. It's just 2 pills all day. And now,
to family,
I'm back.
Aleve, 2 pills, all day strong, all day long. And now, introducing Aleve PM for a better AM.
There's a myth out there that you can't do it all, that you can't be everything to everyone. Well, consider that myth shattered. This is the full line of Ram ProMaster vans and the all-new Ram ProMaster City, built to help you run the town from every direction.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium, the world's longest-lasting AA battery in high-tech devices. Up to 6 times longer than the other leading brand.
Olive Garden's new 8 under 8 lunch combinations featuring 2 new house-made flatbreads, like our Pizziola flatbreads layered with Italian meats and cheeses, and our fresh and flavorful Mediterranean flatbread, plus super salad and breadsticks. 8 under 8 lunch combinations at Olive Garden.
Temptation is toast with Special K protein cereal. Each hearty bowl is packed with protein and fiber. Satisfy your hunger with Special K. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Special K chocolate peanut butter protein meal bars are packed with protein and fiber. Satisfy your hunger with Special K.
My goal was to finally get in shape. Not to be focusing again on my moderate to severe chronic plaque psoriasis. So I finally made a decision to talk to my dermatologist about Humira. Humira works inside my body to target and help block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to my symptoms. In clinical trials, most adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis saw 75% skin clearance on Humira, and the majority of people were clear or almost clear in just 4 months.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Set a new goal today. Ask your dermatologist about Humira, because with Humira, clear skin is possible.
Well, welcome back to our coverage of Winter Storm Juno, and in Rhode Island, things are really beginning to ramp up.
Absolutely, Kelly. We're starting to see more and more of the darker blues moving in on the radar. That's indicating some pockets of heavier snow. So we've seen that, even strong winds in the area. We'll talk about that as well. But we are expecting some areas to pick up 2 feet of snow with this.
Now, we're going to put this in motion now, going towards midnight and into early tomorrow morning. The pink and green, by the way, indicating where some warmer air might be in play here. So a little bit of a mix going on, but we're still thinking that it's going to be a lot of snow still, even for eastern New England. And in fact, it's really going to pile up in places like Providence. How about over a foot of snow?
Yeah, that's very possible with higher snow drifts as well. So we have to deal with that, plus the very strong winds that will continue to actually get stronger during the overnight hours. And you know, there is a travel ban, by the way, that goes in effect at midnight. State police say it's unknown when it's going to be lifted, so it could be a little while. The governor has also declared a state of emergency for Rhode Island.
Let's bring in meteorologist Chris Warren joining us now from Providence, Rhode Island. And Chris, you know, we talked about the ban on travel. Are you seeing that there are no more cars on the roads behind you?
We've been seeing a lot of vehicles on the road, but they are plows. There is an army of plows that we've been seeing cruising around, and they're doing the deal where you'll see one every once in a while, but every so often you'll see the 4 or 5 of them working as a team, one going, the other one slightly off, and the one just a little bit off from that. And so we are seeing that. As far as the pedestrian vehicles, not very many. Now, you can tell a lot about, get clues from the environment. You can tell a lot about what's going on just by kind of looking around. First, snow going sideways, that means it's windy, okay? And we're seeing a lot of that blowing snow as we look. You can really see just how it just kind of goes off from left to right as you're looking at it, okay? It's windy. That's a big clue right there. Also, the parking lot right here has been telling us a story throughout the day. As we look right down here, this parking lot early on today was full of cars. Around 2:30, this is another clue, the cars started leaving. So that's when the evening commute started, around 2 in the afternoon. But we look right now, it was empty for a couple hours. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 trucks. Those 15 trucks are utility vehicles, and the people are staying at the Hilton right here, right at the hotel. So the next clue is, okay, we saw these trucks filling this parking lot, and the reason for that, power outages expected. That's bad news when you're dealing with this. The snow coming down, and we're looking at cold temperatures lingering for days. So we're going to see temperatures maybe the end of the week here in Providence get a degree or 2 above the freezing mark, and then it's going to get cold again. So temperatures staying below freezing, Kim and Kelly, and then by this weekend, some of the overnight lows will be in the single digits. We're really seeing that wind pick up now too.
Yeah, we can hear it for sure, and we're expecting it to get worse. You know, Chris, that low continues to deepen off the coast, so definitely the winds are going to get worse before it gets any better.
Yeah, it certainly is. In fact, it's been gusty throughout the past few hours, but really we saw our most persistent gust just a few minutes ago. In fact, this is more more typical of what we've seen from the past 20 minutes or so. It's really been picking up, and you can really feel it too. This side of my face is almost numb now compared to this side, and that's just because we've changed our position here and we're taking the wind straight on this side.
Chris, I'm cold just looking at you right now and hearing that wind blowing out there. We've had reports of thunder snow. Have you experienced any of that yet?
You know, I thought I had a couple times, and I look over and see a plow. You get a little rumble and a little rumble, and it's loud when they put that blade down. It kind of shakes things a little bit. They go, nope, there's the plow again. I haven't seen any of that yet.
Or just a flash of light, someone's camera or something going on.
Right. That's a tough one, especially in conditions like that, especially with the sound of the wind too. I mean, that's kind of hard. All right, Chris, thanks so much. We're going to check back with you again, and again, conditions will get worse, and the concern there is for power outages as well.
Yeah, digging out there, digging out in New York City as well. In fact, we've been watching the conditions deteriorate here, and in fact, we've got some heavier snow bands working their way across Long Island as we speak.
Absolutely, Kelly, and we have right now a live look at what's going on around New York City. We've got Atop of the Rock, we've got Columbus Circle, we also have Times Square being shown, also Reed Timmer, a storm chaser, sitting right there, and I'm not sure exactly where he is, but he's looking down here, I think, in Manhattan, and keeping an eye on things for us there.
And Jen Carfagno's been reporting for us from Columbus Circle, kind of the funnier or happier side of the story, I guess, with some people cross-country skiing, getting in a little exercise in the snow, and just some people who are excited about the storm, and they weren't really too impressed yet, but hang in there. It's going to get worse overnight.
Yeah, we're still going to see a decent amount of snow in New York City. Again, computer models will talk about some of the changes that we're seeing in them coming up right after
this. Shopping online is as easy as it gets. Wouldn't it be great if hiring plumbers, carpenters, and even piano tuners were just as simple? Thanks to Angie's List, now it is. We've made hiring anyone from a handyman to a dog walker as simple as a few clicks. Buy their services directly at angieslist.com. No more calling around, no more hassles. Start shopping from a list of top-rated providers today.
Angie's List is revolutionizing local service again. Visit angieslist.com today.
My job is so hard on my hands.
The cracks were the worst part.
O'Keefe's Working Hands. Guaranteed relief for dry hands that crack and split.
There was a difference within just minutes of it absorbing into my skin.
Only O'Keefe's has given me the relief that I need.
Learn more at workinghands.com.
Build weather invention.
Wow, anybody else surprised it actually worked? Mother Nature can absolutely change people.
I'm ready to get out of here and create a new track.
This is a tornado emergency.
It was hard to believe weather could do that.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
Currently in our area, 57 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, generally clear. Low 49. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, a mainly sunny sky. High 71. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tuesday night, some clouds early will give way to generally clear conditions overnight. Low 50. Here's our 7-day outlook.
If a denture were to be put under a microscope, we can see all the bacteria that still exists. Polident's unique MicroClean formula works in just 3 minutes, killing 99.99% of odor-causing bacteria for a cleaner, fresher, brighter denture every day.
You owned your car for 4 years. You named it Brad. You loved Brad. And then you totaled him. You two had been through everything together. 2 boyfriends, 3 jobs. You're like, nothing can replace Brad. Then Liberty Mutual calls. And you break into your happy dance.
If you sign up for Better Car Replacement, we'll pay for a car that's a model year newer with 15,000 fewer miles than your old one. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Here's
Here's our new trainer, Ensure Active Heart Health.
I maximize good stuff, like my potassium, and phytosterols, which may help lower cholesterol.
New Ensure Active Heart Health supports your heart and body so you stay active and strong. Ensure. Take life in.
Lips are your thinnest skin. They need special attention day and night. New Chapstick Dual-Ended Hydration Lock provides 24-hour care. SPF protects by day, natural oils replenish by night. Chapstick, put your lips first.
When a small business needs to secure financing to do things like buy new equipment, purchase inventory, or hire more employees, they turn to OnDeck, the small business loan experts. OnDeck has provided over $1 billion in true business loans to more than 700 industries. Unlike traditional lenders, OnDeck says yes faster and more often. Maybe that's why 93% of our customers said they would recommend us, and why OnDeck has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, OnDeck is now publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Why is OnDeck a better choice for small businesses? We evaluate the health of your business, not just your personal credit score. With OnDeck, you can receive a decision in minutes, not months. And best of all, funding in as fast as 1 business day. At OnDeck, we actually want to lend to small business. How can we help your small business? Go to OnDeck.com and find out. There's no obligation, and you can receive a decision in minutes. Visit us online at OnDeck.com today.
Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
This is a serious situation. If you violate this state order, it's a possible misdemeanor. It's fines up to $300.
That was Governor Andrew Cuomo talking earlier about the plans for New York State. Obviously, that travel ban going into effect during the last hour. Same thing in Connecticut. If you do not have to be out there driving around, it is best to just stay put, stay in your home, and let that storm roar outside. And I mean, look at these darker snow bands working their way from east to west. Heavy snowfall moving across Hartford right now, where so far we've only picked up a couple of inches. Temperatures are in the low 20s, but we do think that the snow is going to begin to pick up in intensity. And also the winds are going to continue to blow that snow around, reducing visibility, and that's why we're expecting blizzard conditions through the overnight hours and on into the day tomorrow. Wednesday, we start to see that snow begin to taper off as we get towards 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's right around the time where the blizzard warnings will be expiring. But until then, here's what we're going to see pile up with Winter Storm Juno. Well over a foot is expected right here in Hartford, so we have just begun, really. 13 inches up towards Springfield, 12 inches around Torrington, 12 inches also around a foot for Waterbury. Norwich picking up about 13 inches. So far around Groton, Connecticut and Mystic, we've only seen a couple of inches of snow. And again, that wind is going to be fierce. We've already seen winds gusting over 30 miles per hour. All right, we're going to talk now to Jen Carfagna, who is also covering the storm for us from New York City. And we're also going to talk about the coastal flooding concern as well. Let's go on over to, there you are, Jen.
All right, guys, Kelly, so I've noticed a couple things in the past half hour. The snow has picked up a little bit, and also the wind has as well, but I've also noticed that there's been more people that have come out on the streets here in New York City. So the bans are all in effect. In fact, one gentleman I talked to was walking because the subway stopped and he had to get off and he had to get out and walk back to his home. Other people are out because they're curious about the snowfall and they're wondering why it isn't snowing heavier or isn't the wind blowing heavier as either. And guys, I know like you have, I've been watching the radar, and that band is set up right over Long Island right now on the western edge of Long Island. It is very close to New York City, and the band of snow actually was bringing snow an inch an hour. It's still snowing about an inch an hour in places like Islip there on Long Island. So that type of snow, that heavy snow, is very close. I want to show you what's going on out here though, which is not a whole lot of anything. You look out over Columbus Circle, which, you know, even at midnight would have taxis and buses coming on through. I can walk out here in the street, although I'm hesitating to do this because I don't want other people to do this. There are vehicles that are driving through here, and these vehicles are snow plows. They are buses that need to get back to where they're going. They are responders. So there are some vehicles on the roadways, and I really do want to urge folks, if they do come out this evening before the snow gets too bad, to do stay off the road and walk on the sidewalks, as you should, just for safety's sake out here. Now, from a weather perspective, we've got, the snow picking up a little bit. Carl, if we could talk about this band and, what are the timing of it making its way into the New York City metro area in Manhattan? What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely moving along, and so it's probably going to be getting into some of the eastern burbs there in short order. We're going to take a look at that on the radar picture in just a moment. Now, one of the big parts of this storm is the fact that the wind is going to be so strong and go on for such a long period of time, and when you throw in heavier snow on top of that, weighing down power lines and branches, the result is that you lose power, and that's what we think is going to happen in a pretty large area. We expect that power outages will be widespread across much of eastern New England as the blizzard continues right through the middle of the day and into the afternoon tomorrow. And here's a look at the wind forecast: 60 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts. In fact, we just got a gust to 69 miles per hour in Nantucket. That goes into tomorrow morning. We take the model into late afternoon. It's still blowing at this time, a very long lasting storm because the low is so powerful but also not moving very quickly at all. And then even into late tomorrow, still seeing the wind there. Finally, by Wednesday morning, that wind will begin to relent. But that is going to be hours and hours of pounding and heavy snow, and we think a lot of it here. A full-fledged blizzard. Roads will be impassable. Snow could drift 3 to 5 feet, maybe higher in some cases. Could be talking about as much as 3 feet of snow falling in some spots there. So this is going to be one for the books for New England. Tougher forecast off to the west. We think probably about 8 to 12 of additional snow on the east side of the tri-state area, a little less as you get a little farther to the west there. And there's a look at the radar picture. We're watching this band, as Jen mentioned, getting very close to JFK and Queens, so just getting ready to come in to the east side. And as that happens, we are certainly going to see those snowfall rates increasing there. We've generally had about 3 to 4 to 5 inches across the metro, and we could pick up an easy 2 to 3 as that comes through over the next hour or so. And then as we expand the picture, heavy snow also across eastern Long Island and driving into southeastern Mass. And look at that, Nantucket now gusting to 67 miles per hour. Tremendous wind there, and we're just going to see more and more of that as, again, that powerful low slowly comes up and just off the coast. There's a look at tomorrow morning. Heavy snow, terrific wind all across this region. Boston, Worcester, down into Providence, Hartford, and then right out along the Cape. And then again, even through the afternoon and even into late tomorrow, we're still watching that snow come down. Kelly, Kim, back to you.
Winter Storm Juno. Juno, a good name for a dog too, Carl?
Yes, indeed. That is Juno Parker, Kelly. And, it's funny because that is a total coincidence. We named him actually after Juno Beach, Florida. And, it's Tom Nizzle's been to my house, but I'm pretty sure that had nothing to do with why this storm is Juno.
Oh, maybe. All right, Carl, thanks so much for all your work tonight. Now we're going to hand over the reins.
That's right. We are done for tonight, but our coverage continues of Winter Storm Juno. We're passing it over now to Ray Stajic and Mark Thibodeau. Hey, guys.
Hey, Kelly. Well, I'll tell you what, Winter Storm Juno, a historic blizzard. Welcome to a special edition of Weather Center Live. I'm Mark Thibodeau.
Yeah, and I'm Ray Stajic. And you know what? New York City just about to get into it now. No S+ yet. Yeah. I hope Jen's coming back because she's about to get it.
Yeah.
State of emergency is declared in 7 states. 1 to 2 feet of snow in some areas. That plus the potential for historic storm surge levels.
And these are some of the images that you have sent to us this evening. Looking live here at Boston on the left and New York on the right, right?
Yeah, and it's going to start looking a lot worse before it gets any better. I mean, kind of not so intimidating in New York City, but as I said, it looks like it is on the way. Radar's coming up, and we will certainly have more as we go on through the next couple of minutes. And taking a look now at Boston, New York City. See Boston getting into it. New York City, you are about to, as heavy snow coming across the island, heading on off toward the west, and it looks like hammer time, and we're in it now and probably in it for the long haul. All right, as we go on through now the morning hours and head into the 12 a.m. hour, East Coast time, starting to see some of the heavy snow come on in. We will watch for potentially blizzard conditions now setting up out across Long Island as Winter Storm Juno continues to roll. Here's the forecast for additional snowfall, as we can see anywhere from 8 to 12 inches around places like New York City, off into eastern parts of New England, Mark. That looks like where most of the heavy snow is going to be. Yeah, not only that, we're going to see strengthening winds with the system as we go through time. And it's going to be a narrow zone that cuts off from east to west between the heaviest snow and the lightest snow. 18 to 24 inches of snow potentially there on the Cape Ray, and including Boston. And with that wind whipping up, with it being a light powdery snow, like we were talking about this earlier with temperatures in the 20s, we're going to see some drifts. And we are definitely going to see some just terrible conditions out there with the system really strengthening as we head through the nighttime hours, right? Yeah, and it's happening as we speak. It's starting to see some of that bright banding now on the radar and heavy snow coming in. And we just happen to have one of our meteorologists, Keith Carson, right at ground zero. Keith, looks like it's starting to pick up a little bit. Wind, snow, what are you feeling out there right now?
Yeah, it is picking up a little bit, Ray. And Ray, let me first acknowledge this man dream team that's going on right now with you, Mark, and me, all of which at one point did that 4 a.m. weekend show, which viewers at home, if you never got to see that before it got canceled, it was 3 hours of hilariousness. All right, yeah, we're here in Boston Common, and it's picked up, I'd say the past hour and a half or so has been when we've gotten more into the meat of this storm system, because it has been spitting snow since 11 a.m., but that was ocean influence, ocean effect stuff first. Now we're actually into the system itself. I'm going to take a little trip backwards here. Now, not all of this snow is new snow. You've got a layer of snow that was here previously, and you can kind of feel the difference with it. It's crunchier down beneath it, and you've got that lighter, fluffier stuff on top of it. Boston Common, a bustling place normally, but right now, obviously not so much. And I saw the whole mood change in this city. When I first got here, people were still trying to get errands done. Maybe they were still leaving at work. And then around 5 or 6, people were still walking dogs around, that kind of thing. And now we're pretty much on lockdown. I mean, you've got some plows coming through. You got a couple of people trying to sled through the common, but there are not many people here in a city that is obviously quite large. They're seeming to heed the warnings. Plus, honestly, forget about heeding the warnings. It's not really that nice to be outside right now. I get paid to do it, and I barely want to be out here doing it for a living. So this is something that, you know, this is going to continue through the overnight hours and then into the morning hours as well. And I think that the real heaviest part of this storm system will in fact occur during the really early morning hours, and we're still going to continue to see snow through the afternoon. So we came equipped with a couple of things here, guys, that I think you know, may come in handy. Now, admittedly, Cantore thought of this idea and thought maybe this would be a good idea to have. Not only to have snowshoes, but he's only partially kind of messing around with this, because in reality, if you get 3 feet of snow and you're trying to get back to your hotel, you're going to want these bad boys. Gentlemen, one thing to note about the snowshoes, though, one, I've never used them in my life. I've never used snowshoes. And two, apparently you can only weigh 200 pounds. So since I'm so jacked and I go to the gym all the time, we might have some problems with those. I'll try to use them later. We'll have to find out.
Keith, hey, what size? What size are the snowshoes? What size you have there?
Are they a size? Alexandra, do we have? Oh, I don't know. I mean, they're pretty flexible, Ray. I think you guys could get in these. We'll be good. I have like a size 12 foot, and I think they can fit, so we'll be all right.
Right. Well, hey, you know, I'm out with the weight thing anyway, so I don't have a choice. I'm going on time 14, so it looks like we are going to continue to see, you know, heavy snow out there, and it looks like snow is going to continue. You might need those shoes. You might need them. Yeah, as we go on through this morning and especially into the early morning hours. Let's take it over to Mark now.
Not only from the wind, but from the drifts of that snow that's going to be building up. Well, NBC's Miguel Almaguer is also in Boston, where they expect to get the brunt of the storm, close to 2 feet of snow. Miguel?
Good evening. With snow falling here in Boston, public works facilities like this one are in overdrive. In this city alone, 35,000 tons of salt will be used on treacherous roads. But everyone from the governor to city leaders is asking the public, begging them, please stay home. It hit late this afternoon. Steady snow blinding the Northeast. The first punch of what's expected to be a knockout storm. In Connecticut, a state of emergency and a travel ban. The road shut down to the public starting at 9 p.m.
We believe this will be a long-duration cleanup, and I urge everyone to plan accordingly.
Help is on the way. Power crews from as far as Michigan are now moving east. Still, millions could lose electricity and heat from northern Maine to Atlantic City. In Massachusetts, the Factor family knows they could be in the dark any minute.
The last storm we had, we lost power for a few days, and with kids, you always worry about using the bathroom and the showers and the trees in the backyard.
With this winter wallop building momentum, Massachusetts has called in the National Guard. Schools ordered closed here the next 2 days as hospitals beef up staff. It's not just snow, but wind and water that could cripple this region. Cape Cod is in the bullseye.
Storm surges as high as 4 feet, major coastal flooding, serious beach erosion, and winds could gust to almost hurricane force.
Grocery store shelves are going empty.
Go number 2, please.
Number 2?
Yeah.
In Boston, they're already low on milk and patience.
Just getting the pocket space out in the parking lot is very bad.
Tonight, the Northeast is bracing. This is just the beginning of what promises to get much worse. Over the next 48 hours, facilities like this one will be working around the clock. They call this the lifeline to keeping roads open for emergency first responders. We should note, not far from here, the National Guard is also standing by at the ready. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Miguel. And we will be continuing coverage of Winter Storm Juno right here on Weather Center Live. Keith Carson live in Boston. We'll check in with him to see how much snow they've gotten and how much more is on the way.
Plus, storm surge is another major concern with this storm. What one Massachusetts town is doing to protect their homes.
Yeah, a lot of people trying to get themselves ready, most likely trying to get themselves prepared, and should be hunkered down by now as we're in it, and we're going to be in it for the long haul. Heavy snow heading towards Central Park. More up next. Stay tuned.
Introducing Aleve PM, the PM pain reliever that dares to work all the way until the AM. New Aleve PM. It's the first to combine a safe sleep aid plus the 12-hour strength of Aleve for pain relief that can last all the way until morning. New Aleve PM for a better AM.
Let's go from our little girl to all grown up. Let's say out with the old and in with the options, like that one, or those, with features like this. Let's get exactly what we imagined for less than we thought, and turn a modest budget into a majorly stylish bath. New bathroom, no problem. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Shop stylish vanities in-store and online.
Thrilled to have Jim Cantore on the show. He's been through like 80 tropical systems.
So we've got like 60 years of experience here. And that's just Sam.
Watch Jim Cantore, Sam Champion, and Jennifer Delgado on AMHQ, weekday mornings at 7. Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
Sir, we're going to need you on the runway later.
Don't let a severe cold hold you back. Get Theraflu. It has the power of 3 medicines to take on your worst pain and fever, cough, and nasal congestion. Theraflu breaks you free from your toughest cold and flu symptoms, so you never miss a day. Theraflu. Serious power.
Sometimes at last doesn't happen at first.
Your dad just kissed my mom.
Turning 2 worlds into one takes love. Helping protect that world takes State Farm.
Olive Garden's new 8 under 8 lunch combinations featuring 2 new house-made flatbreads, like our Pizziola flatbread, layered with Italian meats and cheeses, and our fresh and flavorful Mediterranean flatbread, plus super salad and breadsticks. 8 under 8 lunch combinations at Olive Garden.
Waiting quietly, the key to everything. A magic formula of protein and grain.
The sun will come out
Tomorrow is yours to claim. Kellogg's. See you at breakfast.
All right, live pictures now out across New York City. Starting to snow hard in some places. Up to your left there. Mark, that's an easy one. We're looking at the Empire State Building.
That's right. We're looking at Times Square in the upper right corner, and then lower left, you got Columbus Circle, Hyde Park in the lower right. And you know what, Ray? From what I saw on the radar, those heavier snow bands are starting to move back to the west. It's not going to be long now, is it?
No, it's not. You know, the last report out of Central Park was 4.5 inches of snowfall, but imagine they've added more. That was as of 7 o'clock. And we looked at radar as we left. It looked like we started to see some of those heavier bands coming in. But check out Boston right now. Visibility almost down to I can't see a thing, but I've got to tell you something. I think it gets worse before it gets better. And our own Keith Carson out there now. And Keith, over the last couple of hours, tell me a little bit of how it looks, how it feels, and what do you think has changed and what do you expect to change?
You know, I think what has changed here is that the intensity of the snow is the biggest thing. You know, the winds have been hanging around that 30-mile-per-hour range as far as the gusts for a little while, but the snow has been more consistent. That being said, in my experience with nor'easters, if we're going to have a big one, which I believe that we are here with Juneau, we need to get these bands thumping a little bit harder than this. Right now it's snowing, but the S+, the heaviest stuff, has been down across the South Shore of Massachusetts. Bristol County, which is south of Boston, has had the highest snowfall amounts so far. That makes sense. Worcester County, which is to the west of the city, that is about 1 inch or so. So we're seeing things stack up a little bit more down to the south. I mean, we probably get about 2 inches of snow here. Visibility not great. I mean, we're in the middle of Boston Common. If you look almost due south, you can still see the skyscrapers, and I'm kind of keeping my eye on that for a visibility check. So if we lose these skyscrapers, that's about 1/4 mile visibility, and we're losing the ones behind it, so that's about 1/2 mile, roughly. I mean, obviously, I don't have the exact tools to be doing this. So when we get to 1/4 mile or less, that's when we're technically getting towards that blizzard criteria. We need the 1/4 mile visibility, we need the 35-mile-per-hour winds, and I think we will get all of those as the night continues here in Boston. So Ray, you know, things only going to continue to go downhill. Good news is I'm not seeing many people out here. I think everybody's hunkered down for the next 24 hours or so. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I think so, Keith, sorry. And, you know, let's go through the next couple hours. I think next time we talk to Keith, it's probably going to start looking a lot worse. And, you know, we're starting to prepare now for also the surge element of this as people are sandbagging. And the surge is going to be a big concern. Our Dave Malkoff headed to Scituate, Massachusetts to find out how this beach town is preparing for Juneau.
This is Scituate, Massachusetts, and that right there is a 22-mile-an-hour gust. We are hours away from Juneau's peak, but the storm-hardy families who live here say, bring it on.
We've got sandbags in the driveway.
On a stretch of road along a blustery beach in a town settled somewhere in the mid-1600s.
We're going to move the cars off the point.
Traditions are set in stone.
And the issue that you have is the water is going to come between the houses as it comes over the wall.
George Simmons and his wife Ruth are staying put.
On your end?
Check those.
Yeah, these are fine.
The last board is in place. The first was days ago.
You would never want to be holding a big piece of plywood and wind like this, and it's only going to get worse.
It sure is. Scituate has been hit hard in the past.
I'm David Ball, president of the Scituate Historical Society.
Just above a roaring fire, this old picture hangs in David's home as a reminder of one big March storm back in 1956.
Drove a 441-foot freighter that had been built during World War II ashore at the lighthouse.
The Etrusco sat there for months as a reminder of that storm's power. It all happened where the lighthouse still stands today, just down the road from George and Ruth's place.
Okay, you live here because you love the excitement of the ocean.
So what do they think of this one's chances of making history?
I hope that this storm isn't all that memorable, that it's one of the more tamer ones, but who knows? It could be one of the real biggies too.
For now, George is using his bottom floor office, but if the storm surge pushes through the way it's expected from back there, this whole area could be flooded. In Scituate, Massachusetts, Dave Malkoff, the Weather Channel.
All right, most likely, Mark, we're going to see some pretty high water rise, maybe 2 to 4 feet in some areas.
Oh, yeah, on the South Shore tonight. And then tomorrow, as the low pressure goes by, winds will turn around to the northeast, and that is going to start to really bring up the water levels, maybe some sound side flooding and drifting snow all over the place.
Yeah, and here's what it looks like right now out on Long Island. Not as bad as maybe I would have thought yet, but I'm sure it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Energizer Ultimate Lithium, the world's longest-lasting AA battery in high-tech devices. Up to 6 times longer than the other leading brand.
Introducing the Citi Double Cash Card. It earns you cash back now and cash back later with 1% when you buy and 1% as you pay. With 2 ways to earn on purchases, it makes a lot of other cards seem one-sided.
Hey, guess what day it is?
Hump day!
Hump day!
It's hump day!
Hey, Mike! Mike!
Mike!
Guess
what day it is?
Hey, Camel! Guess what day it is?
It's not even Wednesday. Let it go, Phil. If you're a camel, you put up with this all the time. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do. Okay.
There's a myth out there that you can't do it all. That you can't be everything to everyone. Well, consider that myth shattered. This is the full line of Ram ProMaster vans and the all-new Ram ProMaster City, built to help you run the town from every direction.
We build weather inventions.
Wow, anybody else surprised it actually worked? Mother Nature can absolutely change people. I'm ready to get out of here and create a new track.
This is a tornado emergency.
It was hard to believe weather could do that.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-571-6603. That's 1-800-571-6603. Call now, 1-800-571-6603. Brochure, call 1-800-571-6603.
Stay tuned for your Local on the 8s, brought to you by Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
If you have Medicare Part D, Walgreens gets that you might be at the corner of looking for a good deal, and sheesh, I wish I'd looked some more. That's why Walgreens makes it easy to switch your prescriptions and save money. Just stop by and leave all the legwork to us. Switch your prescriptions to Walgreens, where you could save even more on Medicare Part D with copays as low as $0. At the corner of happy and healthy.
Currently in our area, 57 degrees under fair skies. Overnight, mainly clear skies. Low 49. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, mainly sunny. High 71. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tuesday night, some clouds early will give way to generally clear conditions overnight. Low 50. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to Weather Center Live. I'm Keith Carson here in Boston. We're in Boston Common this evening where the snow is continuing to pick up at a pretty steady rate here over the past couple of hours. We've seen things go downhill. That being said, we're still not in the teeth of it, not into the S+ zone, as we say, with the heaviest snowfall. I want to talk a little bit about power outages and any concerns we have here as we take a look at that radar there on the other side of your screen showing you that snow moving in. Okay, so power outages. One of the big things we look at, winds, obviously, but also what kind of snow is coming down, what kind of moisture content do we have coming down. At the moment, it's light stuff, it's fluffier stuff, and that is anticipated. And in fact, we lost 6 degrees. We went from 27 to 21 degrees here in Boston recently as the wind shifted from the northeast to the north. So that cold air is going to support a fluffier snow. Eventually, though, we do anticipate that the atmosphere will saturate more. It gives us a pastier snow, and when you get the pastier snow, it attaches itself more to trees. That tends to lead to more power outages. When I worked as a forecaster, we had this thing called Power Disruption Index, and we tried to forecast who was going to see power outages. And Ray, one of the main ingredients for that, other than wind, was moisture content and snow. So that's something we're going to be watching here in New England over the next 24 hours, and then have a big impact on how many people are left without power. Ray?
All right, Keith. And yeah, you know, it might be wind and powdery snow that keeps the power outages from happening because the snow's probably going to blow off the trees. But now as we take a look at what's going on around New York City, you can see the Empire State Building there in the upper left, Times Square. And as we look down on the city, we could see some of that moderate snow starting to work in. Latest observation out of New York City reporting 3/4 mile visibility. It's snowing, no S+ yet, but the winds are gusting to 30 miles per hour. So starting to reach close to that threshold, 35 miles per hour for what is defined as blizzard conditions, S+, heavy snowfall out on Long Island at Islip. And the snow is moving west now. The question is going to be, is the further western edge of it going to be New York State Thruway, Taconic State Parkway, the Hudson Valley, and points east, or will that heavy snow, which is now starting to come into New York City with reduced visibilities, head a little bit further toward the west? But either way, it is snowing heavily right now through Wednesday. An additional 6 inches of snow possible in New York, up in White Plains, maybe 8. Out on the island, close to 10 inches expected. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, a lot of New Yorkers were out Monday getting emergency supplies and food ahead of the storm. Our Scott Newell has a look at what items were flying off store shelves.
New Yorkers bracing for a potentially historic blizzard, so they headed to the stores. At Bruno's Home Center in Brooklyn, the shovel shelf was nearly bare, though Melvin Moore snagged one just in time.
You have a snow shovel right now?
Yeah, got one. At home one. Got to get this one too.
So you're expecting some rough stuff?
Yeah.
John LaRquente has a little more snow to remove, so he went for a heavy-duty snowblower.
My brother and I, we manage about 30 different buildings, you know, and we really need another blower. And this is going to do the job.
Batteries, flashlights, snow melter, all flying off the shelves.
The last time I saw it like this was during Sandy, when people were getting ready for Sandy. And this seems to be right along with it.
People were literally lined up outside grocery stores, picking up some last-minute items like
some fruits, vegetables. Just grateful that they're open. I called before I traveled, though.
While salt helped clear the streets, it was no fun for Bill Clemo's dog, Rio.
When she gets the salt in her paws, it really stings, so she's got the boots on to protect her paws.
As the snow picked up, visibility went down, people headed out. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio had urged people to stay home and to try to work from home if they could. He said at the very least, people should leave to go home early after work. By mid-afternoon, when the snow was really coming down, the exodus had begun.
If you are in your car and you are on any road, town, village, city, doesn't matter, after 11 o'clock, you will technically be committing a crime. It's a misdemeanor, and a summons up to $300. And we will issue those summons. And that will be in effect until we see what happens tomorrow. Those counties are Mid-Hudson, Westchester, Rockland, New York City, and Long Island.
People getting prepared, and hopefully not much of it will come of this other than we get through it safely.
New Yorkers ready for the worst of Juno. For the Weather Channel in New York City, I'm Scott Newell.
All right, thanks a lot, Scott. Well, Lauren Pabin sending us this picture of the snow in the Bronx. And, you know, it's those north and eastern boroughs that are probably going to get the heavier snow the way it looks as we head through the next 24 hours. Watch for the wind to whip the snow up as well as we go through the overnight. Could be some very dangerous roads by tomorrow morning.
Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to take a sick day tomorrow.
Dads don't take sick days. Dads take NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine.
I was a single mom looking for a man, not only for myself, but for my son. When I went on eHarmony, I had to fill out a lot of questions about myself, so they really got to know who I was and what I was looking for.
eHarmony, I think, is the only dating website that could bring something to me, the exact kind of person I was looking for. Other sites seemed really shallow. There's no perfect match beyond Angela. She's the best person for me.
Maybe it's your turn. Stop waiting. Start communicating for free today.
I'm outside. Where are you?
I'm right here. I'm in the Buick.
I don't see a Buick.
Oh, got it.
The expectation-shattering Buick Encore.
Wow.
Now experience Buick's newest crossover and pay no interest for 5 years. Plus, get $1,500 purchase cash on the 2014 Buick Encore.
The best part about going to Walt Disney World just might be staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel. From royal encounters to royal rooms. And pirates to paradise. The magic never has to stop. And now you can save up to 30% off a select Walt Disney World Resort hotel room. Book your stay now and discover how close the magic can be.
And I turn around and there's 3 rattlesnakes.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don't worry, Rob. You're covered.
State Farm agents are there whenever you need them.
19 years ago, we thought, wow, how is there no way to tell the good from the bad? So we gave people the power of the review. And now Angie's List is revolutionizing local service again. You can easily buy and schedule services from top-rated providers. Conveniently stay up to date on progress and effortlessly turn your photos into finished projects with our Angie's List app. Visit angieslist.com today.
Oh, there's an energy crisis happening, all right. A human one. And it's time to fight it. With the good energy of Quaker Oats. It's how we help keep go-getters like you going and getting. One bite at a time. Try new Quick Steel Cut oatmeal for a heartier texture. Quaker Up.
Thrilled to have Jim Cantore on the show. He's been through like 80 tropical systems.
So we've got like 60 years of experience here. And that's just Sam.
Watch Jim Cantore, Sam Champion, and Jennifer Delgado on AMHQ, weekday mornings at 7. Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
And welcome back. This is special coverage of Winter Storm Juno. Look at this. Look how the visibility has dropped here. Looking towards the Empire State Building. Heavy snow moving into Manhattan now from the east to the west as this low pressure begins to strengthen. This is just the beginning of the heavier snow. Times Square, you're not quite in it yet, but you will be as we head through the next 20 minutes. It's just moving right down the Manhattan Peninsula here, and visibilities are going to drop tremendously. Here's Columbus Circle, and again, here the snow not too heavy right now, but it's on the way, moving off the Atlantic into much of New York City, the surrounding boroughs, and we are going to be looking at a fair amount of snow here as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. Here's Hyde Park. You're looking at visibility still pretty good here, but again, here too, getting into the teeth of the storm as we get into the next 6 to 12 hours here with the heavy snow really beginning to move in. So So there's a look at the live radar of New York City. You can see those darker blue bands on radar moving in from the east to the west, about to move right into the rest of Manhattan, already covering up parts of western Long Island, and strong wind gusts. That's going to be a big story as Winter Storm Juno begins to strengthen. You notice how the winds are out of the northeast. That's going to rise the water levels along the North Shore, and that could create some big problems too. And not only that, a travel snaggle coming up with this, right, Ray?
Yeah, absolutely. And the number's 7,700. 7,700 birds on the ground between today and tomorrow. That's how many flights that have been canceled. And as you can see, the flights coming in, not going out, is it? Significant impacts now to travel, with many airports already canceling stuff here, not only for Monday, but even on into Tuesday, as we can continue to watch these impacts here through the early morning hours. I've got to imagine even through the afternoon, maybe even into Wednesday, with the travel delays and cancellations expected. So you can see here, we've got plenty of cancellations and delays. Boston, I believe that's 600, or is that 633 is the number of cancellations. And it looks like some of these travel impacts will continue to be felt. Even if it stops snowing, the wind's going to be blowing the snow around. We're going to have big time problems in terms of falling snow, blowing snow, drifting snow, and some of those wind gusts getting close to hurricane force. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, NBC's Tom Costello is outside New York's LaGuardia Airport, where travelers are being told not to expect the airport to be open at all on Tuesday.
Good evening. When was the last time you saw LaGuardia Airport look like this? It's essentially a ghost town. 80 to 90% of the flights canceled in New York, in Philadelphia, and Boston. That number is going to go to 100% into the evening. The airlines don't like their airplanes sitting on the ramp in a blizzard, so they're now moving all of their planes out. For airports, airlines, and their passengers, this Monday has been all about getting ahead of the storm. 6,500 flights into and out of the Northeast today and tomorrow canceled. On Flight Radar 24, air traffic over the Northeast thinned out dramatically as the day progressed. In Pittsburgh, Michelle Johnson was trying to get to Boston.
3 rescheduled, canceled flights is, difficult to wonder when you're going to get home in 3 feet of snow.
The flights that did fly were mostly full. Our flight into LaGuardia, just a few minutes delayed, but it's likely to be just one of the last into New York as the airlines proactively cancel flights into and out of the Northeast. Martha Kramer is stuck in Paris on business, not sure when she'll get back to New York.
They don't know where the planes will be when the snow ends, so they're not sure about rebooking people. It's a little frustrating because I have to be in New York on business Wednesday morning.
Tonight, the FlightAware Misery Map shows delays and cancellations mounting from Washington to Philly, New York to Boston, but spreading to other big hubs as well, Atlanta and Chicago. It may be Wednesday before the nation's airlines even attempt to put all their planes back in the air. The airlines are, for the most part, waiving the change fee. So if you are booked on one of these flights over the next couple of days, you can probably rebook without paying a penalty. But by the way, the airlines will not be covering your hotel bill because this is, after all, Mother Nature. It's not their fault. Also, Amtrak canceling all operations tomorrow in the Northeast Corridor from New York to Boston. It's going to be very difficult to get anywhere in the Northeast tomorrow. Guys, back to you.
All right, now, as expected, take a look at this. This is Boston, believe it or not. As we talked to Keith last time, Keith Carson, we expected things would go downhill the next time we talked to him, and he is now live in Boston. He's going to be there all night in Boston Common. Keith, looking at what we're seeing right now in some of the cameras, it looks like over the past 30 to 40 minutes, we've seen things start to deteriorate just a bit. It looks like you're in it a little bit better here, visibility going down. What's going on right now?
Yeah, all of those things are true. I'd say past 30 minutes or so, we picked up the rate of snowfall here a bit, and the wind has kicked up a little bit as well. Gusty, 35 miles an hour probably on the gust. Yeah, we're in Boston Common, and the visibility has been something I've been trying to gauge by the buildings in the background, and we're losing them a little bit. We can still see some of the skyscrapers there. That's roughly a quarter mile away. Behind that, though, we've lost that second row of skyscrapers. That's more like a half mile. So the visibility has dropped here. We picked up a couple inches of snow, and you'll notice plow trucks going behind me even in the Common, because it's important to note that Boston Common is used for a lot of people, much like Central Park, to get across the city. So even though you're not going to see any cars driving on here, that at least ones that are not permitted to do so, you are going to see this being cleared out, so pedestrians eventually by tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon, can get on through here. Some of this snow, old snow, crunchier snow that's been here for a while. But again, we've picked up a few inches here pretty quickly. And it's just been kind of spitting snow in the morning hours. And it's been the past 3 hours or so, I'd say, that we've actually got into the storm itself as it continues to develop off to the south and east. I'm trying to figure out the wind game here in Boston Common because for a while it switched out of the northeast, which is what you'd expect, hence the term nor'easter. But occasionally it will shift out of the north and even out of the northwest. And I think that has to do with the fact that we're behind a bunch of skyscrapers here. So the wind currents kind of do their own thing when it comes to where they're coming and going out of. Now, we're already officially in the time of the day when we're in a travel ban. So you're no longer allowed to be out on the road. And honestly, I haven't really seen anyone who's not a plow been on the road here. And again, we're right downtown, so you would anticipate you would. If you are on the road during this time period, it is actually something that will be ticketed. So, you know, you want to pay attention for a lot of reasons. You really shouldn't have to be ticketed to not come out during the middle of a snowstorm like this. But if you need that extra incentive, that's a good reason. And really, Ray, if you think about it, it's Monday night, past midnight. Where are you going that you need to be out? Like, you out partying, you know? You could just wait it out.
You know, maybe you're out doing something, but it's probably no good. Nothing good happens after midnight. Keith, a little more on the wind. Sounds like, from what I'm hearing, you know, just starting to pick up now. Looks like we're just getting a wind gust. Best estimate on the wind, what do you think, 20, 25 miles an hour?
Yeah, I'd say so. And like I said, the gust over 30. And as you can see, so I just turned my back to the wind, and that's west and northwest. So that's what I was trying to figure out, Ray, is where some of these winds are coming from. But you know how it goes in these cities. It could be funneling in out of the northeast and then just kind of kicking around a bunch of skyscrapers.
Yeah, a lot
and
of
giving us
concrete
different
canyons,
directions
you know.
there.
Yeah, you're probably getting it through the the concrete canyons there. And officially, I think gust to 28 at Logan. So, you know, that sounds about accurate from what you were thinking. And, you know, certainly think we're starting to get into the worst of it now. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do think so, although I will say, Ray, that I think that for this storm to pan out as a historic one, which I think it will, I think it needs to thump just a little bit harder than this.
Right.
I remember Nemo when I was still in Maine during that. I literally couldn't see my car that was probably 15 yards away. So I think those are the bands that make storms, and they may be onto the way to Boston, and it will get even heavier than it is right now.
Yeah, and yes, I think it gets worse. You know, we're talking blizzard conditions, and most likely we'll start seeing that, Keith. Thanks for the input. It's going to be interesting to see what happens the next time we talk. We're expecting the winds to pick up, and certainly going to see more snow. The snow coming down a little bit harder. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, we are going to be looking at the snow moving from south to north, basically right up the Atlantic seaboard towards Boston from New York City as we go through the next several hours. Heavy snow now moving into New York. You're looking at Times Square here, and the visibility has dropped since we last took a look at this picture. And look at all the people that were out. We were just talking about how, you know, what are you doing out on a Monday night after midnight? Well, this is a place where whether you have a blizzard or whether you have, 90 degrees with beat-down sun, there are people out all the time here on Times Square, even during a snowstorm. In fact, a really spectacular sight with the lights in the background there. And you can see the radar is showing heavier snow advancing in from the east to the west towards Manhattan and towards the rest of the New York metro area. So it's just a matter of time before that visibility on that Times Square tower cam drops even further. In fact, I would say that it's probably going to go down enough that you probably won't be able to see as many of those lights in the background. Wouldn't you say so, Ray?
You know, nothing good happens after midnight. You know, the city that never sleeps, New York City, people up there certainly want to walk out and about see what's going on. But impactful event. Looks like we're right in the heart of it right now for New York City and Long Island. We're going to have more coming up in just a couple of seconds. Stay tuned.
Sunday dinners at my house.
You're waiting for my lasagna, aren't you?
It's a full day for me, and I love it. But when I started having back pain, my sister had to come help. I don't like asking for help. I took Tylenol, but I had to take 6 pills to get through the day. So my daughter brought over some Aleve. It's just 2 pills all day. And now,
to family,
I'm back.
Aleve, 2 pills, all day strong, all day long. And now, introducing Aleve PM for a better AM.
Temptation is toast with Special K protein cereal. Each hearty bowl is packed with protein and fiber. Satisfy your hunger with Special K. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Special K chocolate peanut butter protein meal bars are packed with protein and fiber. Satisfy your hunger with Special K.
Sir, we're going to need you on the runway later.
Don't let a severe cold hold you back. Get Theraflu with the power of 3 medicines to take on your worst pain and fever, cough, and nasal congestion. It breaks you free from your toughest cold and flu symptoms. Theraflu, serious power.
Let's go from our little girl to all grown up. Let's say out with the old and in with the options, like that one, or those, with features like this. Let's get exactly what we imagined for less than we thought, and turn a modest budget into a majorly stylish bath. New bathroom? No problem. Let's do this. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Shop stylish vanities in-store and online.
Olive Garden's new 8 under 8 lunch combinations featuring 2 new house-made flatbreads, like our Pizziola flatbread, layered with Italian meats and cheeses, and our fresh and flavorful Mediterranean flatbread, plus super salad and breadsticks. 8 under 8 lunch combinations at Olive Garden.
I am never getting married.
We're never having kids.
We are never moving to the suburbs.
We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant. I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, State Farm is there.
My goal was to finally get in shape. Not to be focusing again on my moderate to severe chronic plaque psoriasis. So I finally made a decision to talk to my dermatologist about Humira. Humira works inside my body to target and help block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to my symptoms. In clinical trials, most adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis saw 75% skin clearance on Humira, and the majority of people were clear or almost clear in just 4 months.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Set a new goal today. Ask your dermatologist about Humira, because with Humira, clear skin is possible.
Logan, it says 1/2 SF, 19 degrees, winds gusting to almost 30 miles per hour. Moderate snow right now, but from this picture we're showing here, which is a live shot out of Boston, you can see that visibility down to just about, I can't see a thing in places. It is starting to unravel now as Winter Storm Juno starting to pick up in intensity and coverage. Significant impacts from this point forward until this storm starts winding down, especially into eastern New England and even out onto New York City. Right now, live in Boston, you can see that snow is starting to come down in Boston Common as we speak, and a little stray person walking out there. But hey, you know what? At this point, if you're out, you're probably out there for the fun of it. We want everybody to stay safe, stay off the roadways, and heed your local government officials' warnings. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, we are looking at Juno moving up the coast here, and we are going to be looking at flooding that could reach historic levels in Boston and the surrounding coastline. And we will be looking at potentially, again, drifts of snow that are going to be deep with us. NECN's Michael Rosenfeld is live right now in Scituate, Massachusetts. That's just south of Boston. Michael, it looks like it is definitely getting worse.
Yeah, the snow and the wind, the two main factors here in Scituate right now, but they are very worried about.
Okay, well, we just lost the feed there. That's because the winds are getting gusty, and it's getting harder and harder to maintain a signal when we get these gusty winds developing, that combined with the snow. Okay, we're back now. So, Mike, again, winds picking up there, snow coming down, and I tell you what, wow, look at that. That's really, it's starting to gust pretty strong there. How high would you say the winds are right now?
High at this point, the snow and the wind just ferocious. We've got some of the snow that's piled up already, but it's hard to tell how much is actually built up because it keeps blowing away in these high winds. The big story here in Scituate today has been the fact that the local town officials, emergency management, and the fire department actually deciding to go ahead and cut power to about 50.
Okay, so we just lost signal again there. And again, obviously the weather's starting to really deteriorate in that area. Ray, it looks like it's going to continue to go on probably most of the night, huh?
Yeah, and, looking at some of the obs, Mark, Nantucket, now we're seeing winds gusting over 60 miles per hour to last observation. 53 knots brings it pretty close, 56 knots, excuse me, brings it pretty close to 60 miles per hour. And that's why we are seeing, loss of signal, and certainly visibility is going down. And if you do have to get out there, it's just not recommended because the snow is now in, and that snow is even heading across New York City. Trying to check some of the obs out of New York City, too, and, we are seeing heavy snow in places now. LaGuardia reporting heavy snow, and here in eastern Massachusetts, starting to get into the darker blues now. Keith Carson out in Boston Commons. Talked to you a couple of minutes ago. Anything changed, at least of any significance, in terms of impacts over the last few minutes?
Well, my nose has gotten redder, Ray, if that counts as a significant impact. But, I'd say we've picked up. There's no doubt about it. The winds have picked up. Our crew and I were just talking about how it's getting a little less enjoyable to be outside. But in general, the winds are still coming in from the west, pretty strong snow coming down, and we're going to continue to see that for a long duration of time. One thing that strikes me about this storm, being from Boston originally, is that we're not talking about a rain-snow line. Most of these nor'easters, from a forecasting standpoint, are a nightmare because of that in Boston. The low goes just off to the east of Nantucket. You get that warm air coming on in and vecting in. You have to think about the rain-snow line. Because of the position of Juneau off to the south and east, that's really a non-factor for Boston. So everything that falls will fall as snow, and right now it's still falling as a light, fluffy snow. And that kind of surprised me because, we're going to moisten up the atmosphere and try to get a little bit wetter with this snow, but it's not happening so far. In fact, we went down 6 degrees in the last hour at Logan with the wind shift. So we went from the northeast to the north. And remember, the north is where all that cold air ahead of the storm system came from. So this is a really light snow at the moment. And if that holds, we'll be in better shape. Because one thing that really kills you as far as power outages is that heavy, pasty snow that gets plastered onto the trees. The winds are going to do their own damage. But if you have that heavy snow on top of it, then you have more problems. Also want to talk briefly about tidal issues, because some places are going to be an issue out towards Revere Beach. The high tide is at 4:27 this morning. Not a huge storm surge, but certainly something we'll have to continue to watch in some of the more prone areas as far as flooding goes. So, Mark, we'll watch that. We'll watch this snow. I think at the end of the day, the biggest story in Boston is just going to be the sheer volume of snow that is accumulated.
Oh, absolutely, Keith. And that snow is headed your way. A live look now at Times Square, where it's starting to snow moderately right now as you look at the lens of Times Square, moving across the area from south to north, and horizontal snow in a lot of areas. Heavy snow, strong gusty winds overnight. We'll be right back.
At the end of the day, my hands are beat up.
Especially during the winter times, hands are splitting, cracking, making it very difficult to do my job.
O'Keefe's Working Hands. Guaranteed relief for dry hands that crack and split.
Best stuff we've ever used.
It just works.
Learn more at workinghands.com.
You park your car. As you walk away, crunch. A garbage truck backs into it. So you call your insurance company looking for a little support. What you get is a game of 1,000 questions. Was it raining? Were your flashers on? Was there a dog with you? By the time you hang up, you're convinced the accident was your fault. Then you remember, you weren't even in the car.
At Liberty Mutual, we make filing a claim as stress-free as possible. See car insurance in a whole new light. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Weather invention.
Wow, anybody else surprised it actually worked?
Mother Nature can absolutely change people.
I'm ready to get out of here and create a new track.
This is a tornado emergency.
It was hard to believe weather could do that.
Never seen anything like this in my life.
Currently in our area, 57 degrees under fair skies. Overnight, mainly clear skies. Low 49. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, mainly sunny. High 71. Winds west-northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tuesday night, some clouds early will give way to generally clear conditions overnight. Low 50. Here's our 7-day outlook.
At Ancestry, we call it a hint. Our little leaf that helps guide you through the past. Simply type in a name and you're taken on a journey. A journey that crosses generations and continents. All to tell the most amazing story. Yours. Discover your story. Start searching for free now at Ancestry.com.
Cofagwin's number 5, the sleepless night. Sorry. Robitussin DM Max Nighttime's dual-action liquid instantly soothes your throat and delivers fast, powerful cough relief. Robitussin, don't suffer the consequences.
I've seen hurricanes, floods, I've seen tornadoes. We give out Duracell batteries after the worst happens. And when the power's out for days, we stay with them. You might say they lost everything, but that's not what I see. I see a different kind of power. I saw it in Ruth, Adam, Tom. It's the power they have inside of them. The power to move forward.
At Duracell, we believe that's the power that never, ever goes out.
When a small business needs to secure financing to do things like buy new equipment, purchase inventory, or hire more employees, they turn to OnDeck, the small business loan experts. OnDeck has provided over $1 billion in true business loans to more than 700 industries. Unlike traditional lenders, OnDeck says yes faster and more often. Maybe that's why 93% of our customers said they would recommend us, and why OnDeck has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Plus, OnDeck is now publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Why is OnDeck a better choice for small businesses? We evaluate the health of your business, not just your personal credit score. With OnDeck, you can receive a decision in minutes, not months. And best of all, funding in as fast as 1 business day. At OnDeck, we actually want to lend to small business. How can we help your small business? Go to OnDeck.com and find out. There's no obligation, and you can receive a decision in minutes. Visit us online at OnDeck.com today.
Stay with us for the latest on Winter Storm Juno.
Things are really going to pick up as the night goes along.
We're live from across the region with more in a moment. Only the Weather Channel.
All right, Winter Storm Juno now starting to really pick things up here in New York City. As we could see, the winds are howling and temperatures are falling. Out in Scituate, Massachusetts, starting to see deteriorating conditions, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the visibility really dropping, looking at that horizontal snow starting to move in. And that's how you know you're starting to get a transition from just an ordinary winter storm to a blizzard as that low pressure deepens offshore. And the radar right here really shows it all. You can see Scituate just getting clobbered right now with heavy snow. It sounded like the winds were just howling there in the background as we see those transverse bands of snow, those waves of snow, if you will. That's a fancy word. Transverse bands move in from east to west across the area. And it looks like the intensity of the snow to me is dropping off. Boston, you can see the visibility at Logan down to a ½ mile now. And obviously no flights going in or out. 1 1/4 mile in Fitchburg. And here's the snow totals we're looking at with Juno. This is additional accumulations on top of what we've had already. Another maybe 10 inches in Boston, Marshfield 11 inches. And again, if you get underneath one of these bands of snow, the amounts could be a lot higher. And the winds, that's going to drift that snow around quite a bit, right, Ray?
Yeah, it is. The wind's going to whip around, and we're going to have snow. We're going to have blowing snow, reduced visibilities, and we're going to have to talk about a little surge threat, too. Coastal flood advisories are up, and we even got some hurricane-force wind warnings for eastern parts of Long Island. But coastal flooding threat first. through Tuesday morning. As you can see, the advisories up and down the Jersey Shore, even down near Chesapeake, or not Chesapeake Bay, down near coastal Delaware from Rehoboth Beach up toward Atlantic City, even around the Battery in New York. Water rise maybe 1 to 2 feet. Coastal flood advisories further on off toward the north, and those coastal flood threats with coastal flood watches do go up the eastern seaboard all the way into Canada, eastern Maine, around Portland, and certainly into the Boston area as we go through Wednesday morning too. Coastal flood warnings further south. Now here is our expected water rise, how far we're expecting to see the water come up here out across the northeast New England, the coastal areas, Long Island, even into Long Island Sound. Right now around Sandy Hook, maybe 1 to 3 feet. Montauk Point, you'll have a 1 to 3 foot water rise. And then further on up the coast, we are expecting potentially higher water rise to as much as 4 feet in some spots, including areas in and around Plum Island down toward Chatham. Nantucket, you're kind of on the cusp there between 1 and 3 foot water rise. Certainly impactful. Weather Service saying moderate to maybe some isolated major coastal flooding expected from June as it continues to head north to northeast. So just like the snow, just like the wind, the impact from the coastal flooding will start getting worse as we go through the early morning here on Tuesday and through the day before the storm eventually and slowly starts pulling away. So we're still expecting to see some flooding that could get close to some of these record surges here in Boston Harbor. Record 1978, 4.82 foot water rise. And then down at the bottom, number 5, December 12th, 1992, a 3.75 foot water rise. And we're forecasting a 2 to 4 foot rise and a surge. So certainly could fall into the top 5. Something we're going to be watching here as we go through this morning and even on through the daytime hours today. There's an early start to Wake Up with Al at 4 a.m. this morning. The gang's going to be back in, and we're going to continue to monitor and get live updates on not only coastal New England, but also down near New York City and even on into other parts of the Northeast and New England. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, winds currently gusting to 40 miles an hour on Long Island. And look at this. You can just see that horizontal snow going on right now. And this is starting to really turn into a life-threatening situation across a lot of the area. This is why this blizzard, this is what this is. Look at those drifts going on across the area. And it's going to get worse and worse as the night goes on. You can just see it right there. The snow drifting over, the winds picking up the snow, pushing it along. And winds are picking up in Rhode Island right now. Blizzard conditions expected tonight. That is where meteorologist Chris Warren is located. And when it's all said and done, we are going to be looking at the potential here for up to 2 feet of snow in some areas. It could be on the ground by the time we get to the morning hours of Tuesday, if not certainly by midday. Chris Warren is in Providence, Rhode Island right now. And I'll tell you what, Chris, it is it definitely looks like it is going to be getting worse as the night goes on. And he is telling us about this as we go through the night. How's it going to be looking, Chris?
You know, you can get a lot of clues from the environment. First thing you'll notice, that snow is blowing sideways. That tells us that it is windy. It's an obvious one here, but something else, if you pay attention, you can kind of see how the day played out. We'll take a look at this parking lot right here. First thing this morning, first there was no snow, but it was full of cars, people at work. And then around 2:30 in the afternoon, it was an exodus. Cars started leaving, but what you're looking at now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 trucks. And those trucks, they're parked outside of a hotel, and those trucks are utility trucks. So that tells us we're expecting to have power outages. And of course, with wind blowing like this, the blizzard conditions expected, even when the snow finally does stop, it could be days before the power comes back on. And that is, of course, if power is lost, and power is expected to be lost, because this right here is the beginning. Expecting winds to get even stronger. And you're also going to have to deal with this very light snow that just blows. So you'll get these snow drifts. The snow that goes up into the air that's falling from the sky eventually will settle somewhere. And it's possible you could have drifts of snow in the feet. So we have a long ways to go before this storm is over here in the Northeast. I'm meteorologist Chris Warren in Providence, Rhode Island. Back to you.
All right, Chris, so now we're starting to hear about some reports, Mark, of maybe some power outages around Connecticut, and that's not even where we're seeing the brunt of the winds, the 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Right, the storm is still strengthening quite a bit, and with the nature of that heavy wet snow, that's just going to make things worse.
Yeah, worse before it gets better. The wind gusts already approaching 70 miles an hour. Got to get to 74 to get hurricane force, but I think it's possible.
I think it is too, especially, you know, the outer Cape potentially, definitely as we go through the nighttime hours as it goes right by in the open land, open water.
Right. All right, let's take a look at what we're getting in from some of our viewers. We're getting some pictures now that showing what's been going on here. This one coming out of looks like somewhere in New England. Look at this, Mark, people lined up at the stores, and I heard reports this morning that already as of early this morning, people were selling out some of the stores of water and even bread and milk. You know, it's going to be one of those storms.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they always say, you know, have a 3-day supply, definitely of essentials and medications, food, water, because plan to be trapped in your house potentially because of roads that are impassable, and that is going to be the way it is going to be looking. Look at this visibility in New York City. Look at this. It has just dropped way down here. You know, almost no visibility here. This is what we call S+, and Times Square visibility dropping here too. You think about how many lights are on Times Square, and you look at this picture, and it is just, it's getting restricted more and more each time we show this picture. Visibility is just dropping way down, and here's Columbus Circle, and you can see here too the visibility dropping off. That is not fog, that is snow that is moving in from the Atlantic into Manhattan, into the boroughs of New York City, and helping to drop that visibility down. And this is the real hazardous weather we're talking about here. And again, we're looking at Manhattan here. You can see the snow piling up on the lens, and visibility is dropping in the background. You can pretty much just see the store lights there, or the business lights in the backgrounds. Very close up, but that's about it. Oh, look at that. Somebody actually driving. Hopefully they are not going to be driving for too long as they get somewhere safe. Now, here's a look at the radar out of New York City. You can see the darker blue still just lurking offshore. So I don't think we're in the heaviest snow yet in New York City. It's going to probably get heavier the way it looks based on this radar. Southampton, you're just getting clobbered right now. Islip, you're about to get clobbered. Right along the LIE, heading westward as we go through the rest of the nighttime hours. This is the worst of the weather. This is what our experts were talking about earlier today. This is when the storm is going to be sort of at its worst as we go through the overnight into Tuesday morning. This is when it will be at its worst. And the winds, you can see that fetch coming in from the northeast to the southwest. Not impossible. We could get some soundside flooding here, North Shore flooding on Long Island, the shore of Connecticut, as well as we see that water piling up along the North Shore of Long Island. And look at these sustained winds we're expecting here in New York as we head through the rest of the day. Winds 25 and gusty, and heavier snow obviously there right now, Ray.
Yeah, the heavy snow starting to pick up, Bob. We're talking about Boston, Massachusetts. 2 feet of snow. Do we get 30 inches? I think that's what the question's going to be, all thanks to Juno. We're Keith Carson's out of Boston Common, and he's live right now, Keith, and certainly expecting things to continue to get worse. Looks like you lost a little bit more in terms of visibility, and they're starting to get the plows out behind you. Give us a little more about what you think the impacts are right now.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Ray, we talk about, 2 feet, 30 inches. I argue at some point it does not matter anymore. I mean, when you get over 18 inches of snow, unless you're in Buffalo and you get that 7 feet, it really doesn't matter. Ray pointed out the plows. We're in Boston Common, so these are not normal roads. I'm not standing in the middle of a normal road. I wouldn't do that. But these are kind of pathways. So the utility vehicles come through here, and where that plow is going down right now, these are pathways for pedestrians. So Boston is a walk-friendly city. People take the T, which is the subway, basically, and they also walk. So these pathways connect different parts of the city. We're oriented basically to the south here, and the winds have been coming in generally from the north and northeast. They've been gusting around 30 miles an hour or so. We anticipate that will pick up as the night continues and into tomorrow morning as well. But we're looking at a pretty long duration storm here, and the snow at this rate, if it continues at this rate, we're definitely in good shape for that historic type snowstorm. So we have a few people walking around, but in general, really, really quiet here. And I've seen the city change because now we're into the travel ban. So you're not legally even allowed to be driving around in this kind of weather. It's kind of unfortunate that we really even have to go there, because it should be self-explanatory that in this scenario you don't want to be driving around. But they go the extra mile. They make it a temporary law. And there's been no lifted time on that. So they said, okay, starting tonight at midnight, until whenever. They didn't say when they're going to lift that travel ban because it depends on the conditions. I will say that the mayor had a press conference earlier in the day, and the thing that they stressed was that they're ready for this. That being said, with all the plows that you have, you still really cannot keep up with 3 or 4 inches an hour snowfall rate. So at this current rate, they can keep up with this.
Right.
It's probably an inch an hour. But if we get into that 3 or 4 inch an hour stuff, that's when things fall behind, and it's kind of a domino effect from there as far as being trying to keep up, and it becomes a problem. So I think Ray and Mark, one interesting thing is that the mayor, he knows the city, right? And he was very smart to, at the same time as downplaying it, upplay it. So saying, look, we know how to deal with snowstorms here in Boston, but this one is a big deal. And I think that was probably necessary to get people to listen, to try to stay off the roads, to acknowledge that obviously Bostonians and much of the Northeast is pretty good with snow, but this may be more than they can, deal with in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, Keith, just going back to the travel piece of this, the T is actually, they closed the T down too, right? And that's the subway system, but it's the elevator rail, right? A little more about...
Yeah,
go
talk
ahead.
about that. Yeah, it's a... MBTA is what it stands for,
right.
And there are parts of it, like right now, there's a station down there, it's a Park Street station. That part's underground, but a decent amount of, especially the Green Line out here, is above ground. So that's going to be not running tomorrow as a result.
Right.
It's unfortunate because it would give people an alternative, but they can't run that either.
And, so basically, they really they shut it down. We want everybody to know that the city of Boston basically stay in, let them get it cleaned up. They're probably out there cleaning up every couple of inches. They're trying to get through and keep up, but it's going to be some time, right? Long duration event.
Right, it is. You're right. They pretty much shut the city down. And the thing that I've noticed, too, with some of these really big storms, if you get over 2 feet, they start to run into the issue of where to put the snow, because you're in a city, and there's only so much area for them to put it. So then they have to get it into dump trucks, usually, and ship it out of the city. So that takes an additional time to do that. So if we get into that zone, or that 2-foot zone, then the recovery takes a lot longer, because you can't just plow the snow into a median. You got to put it somewhere.
Yeah, always looking for somewhere to go with the snowfall. All right, Keith, thanks. We're going to check back with Keith frequently here over the next couple of hours and have the latest updates. Mark?
All right, thanks a lot, Ray. Well, visibility continues to get worse and worse in not only New York City, but all of Manhattan, the surrounding boroughs. We're going to go live now to Broadway here, and you can see the visibility is getting worse. Look at these. Everybody's out just sort of enjoying it. Right now it's a picturesque storm. It's a pretty storm, but as we go through the night, it's going to turn ugly here. As we get the winds picking up, gusting 50, 60 miles an hour, that's when it truly gets dangerous. That's why there's a travel ban across a lot of this area. It's just simply not going to be safe to be out. It's definitely for your own good as we go through the overnight hours. You can see the heavier snow extends all the way back across Long Island Sound. You can see those darker blues that are near Southampton, bisecting Long Island, heading out into the Atlantic. Those are all headed to the west, back towards New York City. You can see there's Times Square on the left. The visibility continues to get worse and worse, and I think it's going to drop down enough that we're probably not going to be able to see a lot of these lights from Times Square in the background as we head through time here. Visibility anywhere from a half mile to a mile and a half right now. And again, those are going to go lower, maybe down under a quarter mile as we go through the night as the storm continues to get worse.
When heartburn comes creeping up on you, fight back with Relief So Smooth. It's fast. Tums Smoothie starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue and neutralizes stomach acid at the source. Smoothies, only from Tums.
Behind the fridge, quietly rotting into black goo, is the banana you thought he wolfed down last week. Pine Sol. Cleaning what stinks since 1929.
Hi, this is Jennifer. I will be out of the office until Monday and won't be checking voicemail during this time. I'll reply just as soon as I get back to work.
Sail with the #1 cruise line in Alaska. Save up to $500 during our 50th anniversary sale. Call your travel consultant or 1-800-PRINCESS. Princess Cruises. Come back new.
Thrilled to have Jim Cantore on the show. He's been through like 80 tropical systems.